Flyers, Union, and the best Eagles talk in Philadelphia. 97.5, The Fanatic.
And a good Thursday morning, Philadelphia. I'm Andrew Salchunas. It's the Midday Show right here on 97.5, The Fanatic. Listen, let me just get right out and say, no question, the last 5 weeks have sucked. It has not been fun. The last 5 weeks of the Eagles football has been terrible. You got one win out of the last 5 weeks, and even that win was kind of terrifying. And the other 4 weeks were losses. One was an absolute beatdown. One was where you were doing self-inflicting wounds against the Dallas Cowboys, where you fumbled the ball 3 times in Dallas territory. You dropped 2 touchdown passes. Then the Seahawks game, you can't allow Drew Lock to go down the field 90 yards in the final minutes of the game and score a touchdown and lose that game. Then you get the Giants win, yippee. And then you lose to the Cardinals. Just unbelievable. And so the last 5 weeks have been tough. The last 5 weeks has been so much focus on poor play, so much focus on poor coaching, whether it's Nick Sirianni, whether it's Brian Johnson, whether it's Sean Desai at first and then Matt Patricia. Then we hear the stories about the third down coaching team and Sean Desai losing the ability to call those plays on third down, the plays that he thinks would work, but no, it's got to be based off of what they had in their third down team meeting. It's just been weird. You've had turmoil in the locker room. You've had players pointing fingers. There's been reports about the locker room teetering for weeks now, and you can only imagine that it's gotten worse since that report came out. I remember Tim McManus said that before the Dallas loss, that it was teetering. Then they lose to the Cowboys. Then they lose to the Seahawks. Where do you think they're at now after a loss to the Cardinals? Well, our one glimmer of hope right now is that A.J. Brown spoke to the media yesterday and people got fired up by what he had to say. That's going to turn around the season. I don't believe that. I'm happy with what A.J. Brown had to say. I thought A.J. Brown's press conference yesterday or locker room availability was captivating. I thought he said all the right things. I never had a beef with A.J. Brown. I never had a problem with him not talking. And him not talking was pretty much the reason why we thought he didn't talk. Other than, he said that he doesn't have a problem with the offense, which I still don't know how true that is. But I thought it was very captivating yesterday. However, I don't think that's going to uplift the team. I don't think they're going to go out there and beat the Giants on Sunday and go on some playoff run, which is unfortunate. So we focus so much on the players, the turmoil, the coaches. But one of the people that we haven't really talked about much is the guy who built the roster. And that's Howie Roseman. Now, I listen to the best show ever on my drive home every single day. And I have heard Tyrone mention Howie Roseman a lot when they talk about the poor cornerback play. Hey, you brought back 2 guys that are 30-plus years old. I've heard John Kincaid talk about that. The lack of attention or lack of resources spent at the linebacker position, well, that's a Howie Roseman production. So I've heard the best show ever mention Howie Roseman. I've heard John Kincaid mention Howie Roseman. But I've not heard a full show dedicated to Howie Roseman. I have not really read an article dedicated to Howie Roseman. It's been just so much about players not speaking or sources about Jalen Hurts or Jalen Hurts potentially regressing and Nick Sirianni and Brian Johnson. It's been what I said to start the show with. Turmoil and poor coaching. But not much has been made about Howie Roseman. So here's what I want to do. Today I want to focus on the general manager of the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, let me get this statement out of the way. This is not me calling for the firing of Howie Roseman, okay? I'm not coming on here today and saying fire Howie Roseman. I was, however, somebody who wanted him fired, who wanted him out of here during the turmoil of the Carson Wentz era. Toward the end, the first year after, drafting Jalen Hurts, even though, look, it worked out for them. I thought that was a terrible draft pick at the time. I still look back and say that probably wasn't a good draft pick when you had a franchise quarterback in the building. But clearly it's worked out for the Eagles. I was a guy who wanted Howie Roseman gone. I've since completely turned my opinion on Howie Roseman because, look at what that guy did. 2 years after that turmoil, the Eagles are back in the Super Bowl. How can I ignore that? But I just wonder where people are at, what the temperature is with Howie Roseman in Philadelphia, because it is something that hasn't really been discussed about much this year. So I'm going to take you back to something last season. Last year when the Eagles, forget exactly what their record was. But I was at Citizens Bank Park. It was game 3 of the NLDS between the Phillies and the Braves. And I know Ray was in attendance as well. And we had the incredible moment, the Rhys Hoskins bat spike, right? Then Bryce Harper hits the home run after the pitching change. And we're fired up. Spencer Strider, right? We're screaming his name. He's getting pulled from the game. The vibes were high inside Citizens Bank Park. The vibes were high also in Eagles land because the Eagles were undefeated still at the time. I just don't know if they were 8-0 yet at this point. But they were 6, 7, 8-0, something like that. The Eagles were playing great football. And at one point, they showed, the people on the big screen, the famous people that were at Citizens Bank Park. We saw that this past year with Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid. Well, last year, in this specific moment, this game, it was game 3 of the NLDS in 2022. And Nick Sirianni was shown on the big screen and got a huge ovation, standing ovation. Why wouldn't you give the standing ovation to the head coach of the undefeated Philadelphia Eagles? Why wouldn't you do that? And then they showed Howie Roseman. Same team, Philadelphia Eagles, undefeated. Roster was built by him. And there were boos. Now, not 45,000 Phillies fans booing, but enough boos for me to hear it and other people in the crowd to hear it. And I found that shocking. Or maybe I shouldn't have, because I also know how people felt about Howie Roseman before the success of last season. But now this year, the Eagles were 10-1 at one point. The last 5 weeks, as I just said, have sucked. They lost 4 out of their last 5. If Howie Roseman was shown on the big screen at, let's say, tomorrow's Sixers game. Sixers play the Knicks tomorrow at the Wells Fargo Center. And Howie Roseman shown on the big screen. What's the reaction? I want to know where you are at right now with Howie Roseman. Whether you want to give me your confidence level, whether you always still look at him side-eyed. Because when I did this conversation last year following that Phillies game, there were still people that felt a certain type of way. I remember a show that I did last summer before the Eagles season had even started. Summer of 2022, excuse me. And I did a show where I asked the question, are you happy that Howie Roseman is the GM of the Eagles? Can I get 10 people to call in and say, my name is so-and-so, and I'm happy that the Eagles, or that Howie Roseman is the GM of the Eagles? I could not get 10 people to say that. Later that day, the Eagles traded for Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. A tremendous move. Now, I don't know if anybody thought it would work out as well as it did, but it was a tremendous move. Barely gave up anything for starting safety, a playmaker, something that you have not had. So I asked the question again the next day. I still couldn't get to 10. People called in. They just wouldn't say those words. I was one of the few who said, my name's Andrew Salchunas, and I'm happy that Howie Roseman was the GM of the Philadelphia Eagles. Where are we at with Howie today? We've talked so much about the issues on the field, so much about the issues with the play calling, so much issues about the press conferences, complaining about Sirianni, what he has to say. Well, Howie's been quiet. Obviously, Howie Roseman doesn't really talk during the season. I saw a tweet over the weekend. Remember Howie Roseman walking off the field last year? And he said, you guys aren't booing at me anymore. Something like that. It's kind of like the Sirianni moment when he was walking off the field at Arrowhead. But he said it to Eagles fans. And I saw somebody tweet out that video and said, I don't think he'd get that same reaction now. So the answer, or I want you to answer the question, where are you right now with Howie Roseman? The number to climb in is 610-632-0975. That's our big Eagles angle today, our big Eagles topic today. Also, something I want to do today, because it's Thursday, right? We are now multiple days removed from the loss to the Cardinals. We were off on Monday. It was New Year's Day. We reacted to the game itself on Tuesday. Continued the reaction a little bit yesterday, but there was also a lot of attention on what A.J. Brown was going to say when he did speak. But now it's Thursday. And it's too early to talk about a Giants game where they should win. If they don't win, then, there's going to be a lot of issues with this Eagles team. Well, we have guys talking about resting starters and losing the game on purpose almost so that they don't have to potentially win the 2 seed and host a good Rams team or a good Packers team or a Packers team that's playing hot and maybe playing an NFC South team instead. That's where we're at with the Eagles right now. So today I want to do something about the 2024 outlook. We're going to do a Philadelphia sports time capsule. And I'm going to ask Ray questions, and I'll give you my answers as well. And if there's something that sticks out to you, feel free to tweet the show or call in at 610-632-0975. We'll take note of it. And at the end of the year, we'll see who was right and who was wrong. And there's going to be questions about players. There's going to be questions about coaches. There's going to be questions about teams in general, executives, you name it. I got a bunch of questions that I wrote down before the show started. And we'll go through them as the show goes on. I'm not going to be giving it to a specific caller. If there's something that you like, you call in. But we'll be doing this. I'll be throwing them out there throughout the show as the show goes on. But where are you with Howie Roseman at this point? Because I feel like the relationship with Howie Roseman has always been strange. Going to get Ray's thoughts on this next. Your calls at 610-632-0975. Andrew Salchunas, The Midday Show, right here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
A.J. Brown speaks to the media. I'm Ray Dunn. This update is brought to you by Bradford White Water Heaters. When you need a new water heater, choose one that is built to be the best. Choose Bradford White. A.J. Brown broke his silence to the media on Wednesday. The wide receiver spoke to a group of reporters for 12 minutes, addressing his frustrations, his silence, and the recent slide for the Eagles. Among his primary things addressed, it was the respect he has for head coach Nick Sirianni.
I can tell you that may be things that Nick probably want to fix about himself, and I'll say, but one thing I can't respect, loyalty is not one of them. And I say that because he takes up for us when it has nothing to do with him.
As for Nick Sirianni, he alluded to every Eagle potentially being available for Sunday's game versus the Giants during his media session. The Flyers back in action tonight, lose to 5 of their last 6. Flyers looking to get back in the win column tonight at home against the Columbus Blue Jackets. The Flyers have slid to 4th in the Metropolitan Division during the recent slide and currently hold the top wildcard spot in the East. Puck drop between the Flyers and Blue Jackets is at 7 right here on 97.5. Sixers off again tonight. They'll play host to the New York Knicks on Friday night at 7:30. The game will be nationally televised on ESPN and live right here on 97.5 The Fanatic. This update's also brought to you by Lowe's. Shop the closeout event now at Lowe's with big savings on the appliances you need now. Lowe's knows home improvement. Shop the closeout event now at Lowe's. Keep it locked here for all the latest news and information. I'm Ray Dunn, the home of the Sixers and Flyers. 97.5 The Fanatic.
The Philadelphia Flyers play here. Coming up tonight, Tim Saunders has the play-by-play. Your home for the Flyers is 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
How would you describe your sex life? Going into overtime or over too quickly? If your ED has resulted in nightly no-hitters, it's time to explore focused shockwave therapy at Forge Medical Group. Focused shockwave therapy is a novel treatment for ED that uses pulses of energy traveling faster than the speed of sound to penetrate deep inside your body to activate the growth of new blood vessels and tissues on a cellular level. It's safe, simple, and painless with no side effects. Right now, the doctors at Forge Medical Group will create a custom treatment plan combining focused shockwave therapy with acoustic wave therapy for as low as $300 per session. Don't spend another night on the sidelines. Call today about focused shockwave therapy at Forge Medical Group. Appointments fill up fast, so call 610-632-8181 now or visit forgemedicalgroup.com. That's forgemedicalgroup.com.
Hey, it's number 59, Seth joining. Join me on the Bet Park Sportsbook app, and you're in the zone. Bet Parks is the official casino and sportsbook app of the real Philly fan and the only app I recommend. Bet more than the score. Bet player performances like total passing and rushing yards. Bet total team touchdowns. Bet who scores a touchdown. And nobody does live in-game betting better than Bet Parks. Bet on the action as it happens. Join me right now and download the Bet Parks Casino and Sportsbook app. New customers make a winning $10 bet and get $125 in bonus sportsbook bets back. Must be a winning bet, and bonus bets must be wagered once. The Bet Park Sportsbook is the only sports betting app that I recommend. Live betting, parlays, props, teasers, they have it all. Like me, I'm sure that you love to play, you love to win. You bet. Bet Parks.
Must be 21 in NPA, New Jersey, Ohio, Maryland. Number 1-800-GAMBLER.
My brother-in-law died suddenly
And now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance.
For your free quote, call SelectQuote at 1-800-994-6633. That's 1-800-994-6633. Or go to SelectQuote.com. 1-800-994-6633. That's 1-800-994-6633.
SelectQuote. We shop. You save. Full details on example policies at selectquote.com/commercials.
Patrick was way behind on his IRS taxes.
I was in way over my head. The total amount ended up being somewhere just over $30,000. $30,000.
Then the IRS came to collect.
Started getting letter after letter. A lien had been filed against me. They were going to basically hang me completely out to dry.
He had to do something.
That's when I reached out to Optima Tax Relief.
Patrick's life quickly got a lot easier.
It was very easy, pretty much hands off. They picked up the ball and ran with it.
And how'd it go?
I couldn't believe it. I had to ask 2 or 3 times. I saved an incredible amount of money.
How does Patrick feel about Optima?
Couldn't be happier. They definitely helped me. Optima Tax Relief, the best place to call. They're the best in the business.
Do what Patrick did and call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840. Optima Tax Relief. Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
This is Scott Trout of Cordell & Cordell. If you're a dad who is facing divorce, there are extra layers of stress that may include stereotypes and assumptions. No two situations are the same. Our legal experience and dedication prepare us for whatever legal challenges we face together. For more than 30 years, Cordell & Cordell has represented men in divorce.
Offices in Philadelphia, Radnor, and Allentown, Pennsylvania, and Mount Laurel, New Jersey. Scott Trout, licensed in Missouri, Illinois, and Georgia only. Michelle Ferrari, licensed in New Jersey and Pennsylvania. Online at CordellCordell.com.
The smarter way to clean your floors. It's time to make the swap. Swiffer Power Mop.
Introducing the new Swiffer Power Mop, the all-in-one tool that gives you a mop and bucket clean in half the time. The solution's built right in, so no heavy bucket, and the pad has hundreds of scrubbing strips to get deep into grout. Don't mop harder, mop smarter.
Swiffer Power Mop. Swiffer Power Mop.
For the ones who get it done, the most important part is the one you need now, and the best partner is the one who can deliver. That's why millions of maintenance and repair pros trust Grainger, because we have professional-grade supplies for every industry, even hard-to-find products. And we have same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders. But most importantly, we have an unwavering commitment to help keep you up and running. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Philly, if we win the big game and the starting QB passes for 350-plus yards, your Ashley Furniture purchase now through January 12th only is free. Details at ashleyhomestore.online.
Is it time for maintenance on your vehicle? Stop into your locally owned Meineke today for an oil change and get a free tire rotation. Right now, synthetic oil change is just $59.95. Up to 5-quart standard filter plus disposal fees. Tires, brakes, alignments, batteries, exhaust. Meineke, doing car care right.
This winter, cozy up to a home that's perfectly yours with Preferred Pros. From skilled craftsmen and expert designers to top veterinarians and relaxing pools and spas, we've got the best recommendations for you. Let us help you make your dream project a reality. Your home, your life, our professionals. Connect with Preferred Pros you can trust.
Bachman's Roofing is your local award-winning roofer. Now's the time to inspect your roof and protect your #1 asset. Visit bachmansroofing.com to schedule a consultation and learn about financing options.
Chris Services, experienced electrical contractors located in Elmer, New Jersey, providing a wide variety of projects and services for residential, commercial, and industrial customers. 24-hour emergency service, 7 days a week.
Today's laundry rooms are used for so much more than just laundry. Transform your space with help from Bella Systems Philly. For a free consultation, visit bellasystemsphilly.com.
Check out Preferred Pros today. This paid program is sponsored by businesses highly rated by actual customers. For more details on Preferred Pros, visit 975thefanatic.com.
Jason Stark plays on one station in Philly, 97.5, The Fanatic.
1021, 97.5 The Fanatic. I'm Andrew Salchun. It's the Midday Show. A day in which I want to focus on Howie Roseman. And again, I will make myself clear. This is not a show in which I'm yelling and screaming for the firing of Howie Roseman. The guy's done a tremendous job as general manager of the Philadelphia Eagles, right? You know, he gets you to your first Lombardi trophy in Eagles franchise history, and you're back at it a couple of years later, even with turmoil mixed in between. But when we talk so much about the demise of the Eagles over the last 5 weeks, we focus so heavily on coaches and players. And so I do want to focus a little bit differently today, and I want to focus on the general manager, on Howie Roseman. Because there hasn't also been much time to talk about. You think about it, right? The holidays have been mixed in. We've been off around the New Year. We've been off around Christmas. So it's been a lot of focus on the games itself. So today I want to talk about Howie Roseman. Now, here's the deal. I'm going to try to be as unbiased as possible. Well, I mean, I don't want him fired, so I guess that already gives you your answer. But Howie Roseman, let's look at the good, okay? He did find Jalen Hurts in that second round. Give him credit for it. Even though I thought it was the wrong pick at the time, and I look back at it still sometimes and go, well, I can't believe they actually did that. But they did, and it worked out. And I love how quick he was to extending Jalen Hurts. Remember, Jalen Hurts was the highest paid player in the NFL for like 3 minutes. And then you had the other quarterbacks getting paid. And it's not just the total amount of money that Jalen Hurts will be getting. If you did a deep dive into his cap hits do not hurt the Eagles. I remember when the contract first came out, there was a day when I was still working with Anthony where people were calling in and tweeting in and were actually upset by the contract. Not that Jalen Hurts got paid. They were just upset thinking that it was the end. That, well, once you pay the quarterback, it's really hard to win, which is true. It is hard to win. But the Eagles have a lot of guys under contract for another year or two. And Jalen Hurts' cap hit, once that stuff started coming out, is not really detrimental to the team. Howie Roseman, who is a cap wizard, we've known that from the beginning. Even during the dark days of the Eagles football a couple of years ago, we know that Howie Roseman could work the cap. And he did a great job with how Jalen Hurts' contract was set up, where that he could still sign players down the road when needed. And right now, it's not really necessary because of a lot of the guys that were already under contract for a couple more years when the Jalen Hurts extension happened. Building through the trenches has been the MO of the Philadelphia Eagles for 20 years now. That continues with Howie Roseman. The offensive line is one of, if not the best offensive lines in the NFL. I'm anti-Pro Football Focus. You know that, Ray. They were graded as the number one offensive line in football a couple weeks ago. Not just through that 1 week, through the entire season. I don't need some analytics calculator, computer-led website to tell me that. The Eagles' offensive line is still near the top for me. Are they as good as they were last year, 2 years ago? No, I don't think so. But they're playing pretty damn good football and really have been over the last couple of weeks. Wide receivers, my God, do we really have to go over the history of Philadelphia Eagles wide receivers and just how bad it's been? For the first time in franchise history, the Eagles had two receivers of 1,000 yards last season, and it happened again this year. Year in and year out, the Philadelphia Eagles have a great tight end. The tight end position for the Eagles is the catcher position for the Philadelphia Phillies. I wasn't the biggest Lieberthal fan, but you could depend on that guy, right? It was Dalton, it was Lieberthal, it was Chooch, and now it's JT Realmuto. Every once in a while, you throw in a year of Cameron Rupp, Eric Kratz, right? Because you're rebuilding. But for the most part, the Phillies catcher position is akin to the Eagles tight end position. Brent Selleck into Zach Ertz, now Dallas Goedert. And at some point, they're going to have to think about what's next after Dallas Goedert. And I'm sure they'll do that. The one area of, I guess you could say, weakness when it comes to the offense has been the top-tier running back. But what Howie Roseman has done every single year, especially since after Chip Kelly, has been finding a way to make running backs work here, right? Finding vets on 1 year's deals in LeGarrette Blount. Making trades for guys on the final year of their deal. Jordan Howard was actually a very good piece for this Eagles team. Not as good as DeAndre Swift now. Drafting at the right time and not drafting in the first round, but drafting a guy like Miles Sanders in the second. I wasn't the biggest Miles Sanders fan, but he was productive during his time here in Philadelphia. Much more than what he is now in Carolina. The way this team is built offensively has been tremendous. Defensively, the trenches are still, on paper, good. The problem is it wasn't as deep this year. And that's why you're seeing some guys cooked. Hassan Reddick's not getting to the quarterback anymore. Josh Sweat isn't even coming close. Jalen Carter, you just depended on way too much. And does that go back to maybe you shouldn't have brought back Fletcher Cox and Brandon Graham one more year? I don't know. I mean, Brandon Graham's only playing 25% of the snaps, and he didn't get paid all that much. You did pay Fletcher Cox a decent amount of money, who's actually having a good year this year. So I can't even blame that. But, you were expecting more out of a guy like Milton Williams, who had a decent game last week. The depth just isn't the same. You think about 2017. I mean, you had Chris Long as a rotational end for you. It's just not as deep as it was before. Cornerbacks, I will stay true to my word. I had no problem with bringing back both Darius Slay and James Bradbury. Darius Slay had a tremendous year last year. He had one bad game, and unfortunately, it was the biggest game of the season, the Super Bowl. And that clouded a lot of people's judgment on how Darius Slay played last year. Darius Slay was great last season. They brought him back on a restructured contract that didn't hurt the team's cap, and they paid an all-pro in James Bradbury. Did anyone think James Bradbury would fall off the way that he did this year? No. And, oh, by the way, James Bradbury actually had a good start to the season, minus a couple games that he missed because of injury, because of the concussion. But he had a good first quarter of the season. The wheels fell off. I can't blame Howie Roseman for that. I don't think anyone expected that. What I can blame Howie Roseman is the lack of attention at linebacker, which is something that we've talked about for years. But one of the things that he did do well was once again hit on some random players. Like Nigel Bradham was actually decent for you. Not great, but decent for you. TJ Edwards was a nice find. And they brought him back. Don't forget, last year they brought him back on a one-year deal. They extended him by one more year last year. And then he played last season, was great, and then got paid. And we all knew the Eagles weren't going to re-sign him. I think his biggest miss this entire offseason was thinking he was okay at safety. I think that was the biggest miss. I have not been a Reed Blankenship fan. I think he's a hard worker. I think he plays hard. I think he does make plays at times. But I think he's sometimes overmatched. I think Reed Blankenship is okay as a second or third safety, guy that goes out there once in a while. Not as your number one. And relying on a trade market and bringing in Kevin Byard, who has not been the player as advertised from his past, that's kind of hurt them. I keep on saying I don't blame him for the Chauncey Gardner-Johnson situation. I think Chauncey Gardner-Johnson's agent completely screwed that up. But there were other options. We talked about trading for a safety, the second Chauncey Gardner-Johnson side of the Detroit Lions, and it never happened. And right away, don't forget, during camp, Reed Blankenship was starting safety. You remember, if you go back to any of those press conferences with Nick Sirianni, any reporter that went to a training camp, it was Reed Blankenship and who will be the other safety. I think that was a mistake by the Philadelphia Eagles. I think that was a mistake by Howie Roseman. Ultimately, this team was good enough to get to 10-1 at one point. I don't think they're as bad as what they are right now in terms of talent. Is it coaching? Is it guys being cooked this late in the season because of how much they had to play, especially the DNs? All I know is I still believe in Howie Roseman. I'll be completely honest with you. But the biggest test will be this offseason. He's going to have to address that linebacker position. He's going to have to figure some stuff out with some of these aging players. How can he get out of some contracts? I'm not even getting to that point just yet because, look, they still have a playoff game to play. And hopefully more. Hopefully multiple playoff games. The question today is, where are you at currently with Howie Roseman? I'm still a Howie Roseman fan. But I do wonder why he hasn't been talked about more recently. Good morning, Ray. What's up?
Good morning. With this, I'm still a fan, but there's certainly quite a bit of blame that could go his way with this.
Definitely. I can't blame him for the offense.
No, I can't blame him
that
for the
talent is
offense.
still that talent.
Yeah.
Like, Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, DeAndre Swift, the offensive line, Dallas Goedert, that's all still there and healthy.
Incredibly talented unit.
Yes.
Not taking that away from him. Though yesterday we talked about, or this week, I guess maybe not yesterday, but on Tuesday, about the fact that have we just given up on the defense and given up on the personnel there and given up on the fact that unit is going to be able to do anything? If you've given up on basically half the football team because of the personnel, you at least have to ask the question about the guy that brought in that personnel.
Yeah, and this goes back to a lot of things, not just free agent, acquisitions, maybe lack thereof as well. Could go back to draft. We've talked about I think you brought up randomly Davion Taylor a few weeks ago, and I was like, I forgot that dude existed.
There was a Davion Taylor jersey actually on 2nd Street.
I saw that picture. But Davion Taylor was a draft pick, a wasted draft pick, a draft pick that I hated from the beginning. I did not like. Now I will say this. It's not that I didn't like the player. I did prefer, and this is not revisionist history. Check the tape. I wanted Kyle Hamilton over Jordan Davis. One of the biggest reasons was I wanted a starter over a guy that was a rotational piece. That's what I wanted. Because the Eagles were building. This was before they went to the Super Bowl last year, right? Like, nobody thought they were going to get to the Super Bowl. So what I wanted was a guy that you could plug and play right away. They didn't like him based off of what people told me. And, of course, the MO of the Eagles was building in the trenches. Now, I've not given up on Jordan Davis. Let me make that also clear. Me saying I wanted Kyle Hamilton does not mean I've given up on Jordan Davis. I still think that guy could be a hell of a player. I do think he needs to get into player shape better. Jalen Carter is a tremendous draft pick. They just relied on him too much this year. He's clearly hit a rookie wall. And that's why he's not playing as much. Brandon Graham is starting to play on the inside. Like there is a reason why they're rotating Jalen Carter in less or rotating him out more. But it's also draft picks. Which, remember, at one point, Howie Roseman could not draft. Right? He's gotten better. And I still like those picks.
It's good picks, but it's interesting to see right now the two teams that are probably considered the favorites in each conference, what they valued versus the rest of the league has valued. You know, we talked, and I know this was a conversation previously on Middays of like the cheat code of, building in the trenches. And that's, that's how you win and that's how you make it happen. And yeah, you have to have a good offensive line, a good defensive line. But you look at what has been prioritized in the middle of the defense for the Ravens, for the 49ers.
So the Ravens and 49ers, I think it was Daniel Jeremiah tweeted out, or somebody who covers the NFL tweeted out, like, look at how much has been put in, like, financially or, what draft pick, what number draft pick, in off-ball linebacker, outside linebacker for those two teams. And like you said, those are the two teams that lead their conferences.
Yeah, right now, I mean, they have, and I'm sure with their success, the NFL is going to swing back and it'll go back to valuing that type of thing.
That's how it always works.
Yeah, and I think that eventually the Eagles will, join that swing back. I can't imagine they stay so stubborn in this where it becomes...
No, not the way it's been exposed this year.
Right.
Maybe they don't draft a first-round linebacker, but maybe they pay for a linebacker who's out there that you're going to give a little bit more money to than you would Miles Jack, who retires during camp.
Right. And I think that is when we start to have the bigger conversation about it. If there isn't the swing back, if there isn't the addressing the flaws of this roster, addressing the flaws. Like right now, he shares a considerable amount of blame because most of this fan base, it feels like, has given up on at least one side of the football, and it's not because of the coaching on that side of the football. It's just because of the personnel.
Right, and that's not great.
No, I would say less than ideal.
Yeah, and that does go back to Howie Roseman. And that's why I keep on saying it. Like Sean Desai, whether you like him or not, it's not his fault.
Scapegoat.
I don't believe it was Sean Desai's fault that the defense was struggling as much as it does. And look, Matt Patricia has since taken over, and it hasn't gotten much better. Some may say it's gotten worse. Not one punt against the Arizona Cardinals. The 3-win Arizona Cardinals, now 4. So I want to hear from you. Where are you right now with Howie Roseman? 610-632-0975. I'm going to give out the first question of our 2024 time capsule, Philadelphia Sports. But first, let's go to the phone. Let's go to Joe in Fox Chase. Joe, you're on the Fanatic.
Hey, how we doing, guys?
How you doing, Joe?
I'm doing great. You know what? Great question. And I'll start it off by saying I put him in probably the top 25% of all of them. He's the least of my issues. We have the talent. The problem is he's not perfect. Yes, linebackers have been an issue. Yes, safety's been an issue. With then Slay going down certainly didn't help. But it's the defensive scheme. Would we please leave Reddick, who is a great linebacker, leave him the hell alone. Let him do what he does best. My God, last year we had 70 sacks.
Yeah.
We got, 40 this year? Leave Reddick alone. Let him do what he does best. It's the scheme of our defense. He has to fall back because we don't have the proper coverage. We don't have enough safeties. And yes, Howie's a little made some errors there, but overall, Jesus Christ, the guy has been great. I mean, we have enough talent to go all the way and win this thing. We are just the scheme's got to change. The offensive coordinator, the play callings. Please stop that stupid screen.
Oh my God, yeah, I'm tired of it. Now, Joe, I got to ask you because you got the pulse of your fellow Philadelphia Eagles fan. Last year, the 2022 NLDS, not the 23, the 2022 NLDS, they showed Howie Roseman on the big screen when the Eagles were undefeated, and he got a smattering of boos. If he was shown on the big screen tomorrow night at the Sixers game, do you think he would still get that smattering, or do you think it would be more applause? Because I do believe he deserves more applause these days.
I think he deserves more, but you know what? He probably would get the smattering of boos, and especially right now,
right,
since we lost 4 of the last 5, everybody is like in a state of panic and pointing at him. It's not him. Come on, let's be real here. We have the best offensive line. We have 2 of the best receivers, for God's sake. We have a great tight end. We have a great quarterback.
But here's the thing, Joe, and I appreciate the call, brother. You're talking all offense. And you mentioned one name on defense, Hassan Reddick. I don't agree with dropping Hassan Reddick back in coverage as well. But you mentioned one name on defense. You didn't talk about, Christian Ellis, who's no longer with the Eagles, right? You didn't talk about Miles Jack, who retired. You didn't talk about Nicholas Moreau, who started the season on the practice squad but had to get elevated because they were so desperate. Nolan Smith was a guy that barely played up until the last couple of weeks. That was a first-round pick. That's kind of akin to Jordan Davis the previous year. He was a first-round pick on a guy who doesn't play all that much. Howie Roseman does deserve a portion of the blame for what has been going on recently. I don't think he deserves a ton of blame. I'm not even asking for him to be fired. Let me make that clear once again. But where are you at right now to date with Howie Roseman? I still go arrow up, right? Like, I'm not I think the Eagles are still fortunate that Howie Roseman is the general manager of the Philadelphia Eagles. How many times have you heard if the Eagles fired him today, he'd be picked up tomorrow, right? I don't think he's going anywhere, nor should he. But I do know, doing this for as long as I have been, right? Like, Howie Roseman's been around since I've been around here at the station. I know people have never really, truly loved Howie Roseman, except when things are, like, perfect and he's walking around and people are doing the Howie chant. But when things aren't necessarily going great, Howie Roseman is always under fire. More so than a lot of people. So where are you at personally with Howie Roseman right now? Would love to hear from you, 610-632-0975. Now, today, I'm going to give out questions, an outlook of 2024. And, Ray, do you have the notebook in hand? You do? Wonderful.
I do, right here.
So Ray is going to jot down our answers based off of these questions that I give you. And if you want to participate, feel free to call in at 610-632-0975, tweet in the show, and we'll take note of all your answers. So that when the year comes to an end, at the end of 2024, we can look back and go, this guy was onto something, or this guy's an idiot. And when I say this guy, I mean probably myself. So here's question number 1, Ray. I jotted these down on the notes in the old iPhone because I know how to use technology.
Okay.
And I have a bunch of random ones. But we'll start with this one. Let's go individual. Will there be anyone who wins an individual award, like a legit award, not like Player of the Week, an individual award that is a Philadelphia athlete in 2024? If no, then write down no. If yes, who? Do you have an answer, Ray? Ooh. Because I'll just tell you right now, it's Joel Embiid. He's going to win back-to-back MVPs. I don't know how, if he continues this pace, how could he not win MVP? Other than Jokic, who else is out there?
Now, listen, I'm all for it. I'm all for that one.
I know the league hates him. I know they hate the field goal, the free throws.
Worried about the number of games he'll play.
Right, because
he's already closed, I think, 10 more before he becomes disqualified for that.
Okay.
So that would
All
be
right,
one
let's
thing.
say
That will...
if he qualifies, he's winning MVP again.
Okay, sounds good. I'll put you down for that one.
Okay.
I'm thinking individual. I was thinking like all pros and stuff like that, but I'll just go for the big one. Bryce Harper, MVP.
I saw somebody at the MLB Network predict that.
Yeah, I just think full season. No, he looked
healthy.
Yeah, he looked like he can probably stick it at first, knowing how he plays, how he works. I would think he probably makes himself valuable over there, and he has a full season where he's healthy, has a full off season where he can actually be healthy and get ready to go for the season. I feel pretty confident in Bryce Harper.
And if you say no, feel free to just tell us no. Like if you don't think anyone's going to win an individual award, that's totally fine. The one tricky thing is the Eagles, it's this team, right? This team would be under this because, the awards won't come out for next season until 2025. But MLB, NHL, and NBA, this current NBA and NHL season will go into the 2024 window. So that's question number one. I got another one that I'll get to coming up, and I'm doing it for a reason. It's based off of something that A.J. Brown was talking about yesterday during his media availability. There's a question that I have specifically based off of that. Kind of. I'll explain more. Coming up next, right here, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Wide receiver one speaks. I'm Ray Dunn. This update is brought to you by Lowe's. Shop the closeout event now at Lowe's with big savings on appliances you need now. Lowe's knows home improvement. Shop the closeout event now at Lowe's. A.J. Brown broke his silence to the media on Wednesday. The wide receiver spoke to a group of reporters for 12 minutes, addressing his frustrations, his silence, and the recent slide by the Eagles. Among his primary things addressed, the respect he has for head coach Nick Sirianni.
People say I'm beefing with Nick. I'm not mad at Nick. I'm not mad at nobody. Like we have a great relationship. Like I said, I got a ton of respect for Nick. But like I said, he take over for us when it be us.
As for Nick Sirianni, he alluded to every Eagle potentially being available for Sunday's game versus the Giants during his media session. Flyers back in action tonight, lose to 5 of their last 6. Flyers looking to get back in the win column tonight at home against the Columbus Blue Jackets. Flyers have slid to 4th in the Metropolitan during the recent slide and currently hold the top wildcard spot in the East. Puck drop between the Flyers and Blue Jackets is at 7 right here on 97.5 The Fanatic. Sixers off again tonight. They'll play host to the New York Knicks on Friday night at 7:30. The game will be nationally televised on ESPN and live right here on 97.5. Keep it locked here for all the latest news and information. I'm Ray Dunn, the home for the Sixers and Flyers, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Philadelphia Flyers hockey. The games are here.
Zadorov lost control. The Flyers have a break. Skating back in is Farabee. Farabee backhand forehand. He scores! Joel Farabee makes it 3-0 Flyers.
97.5 The Fanatic.
Hey guys, Bob Cooney here. Imagine if your favorite casino came with an undo button. Well, guess what? You get that with FanDuel Casino's Play It Again. Get up to $1,000 back if you're down after your first day. Play your favorite table games and hundreds of slots for real cash. See why FanDuel Casino's the #1 rated online casino app? I've told you so many times how much fun it is to look at their daily and their weekly promotions. And when you play with a live dealer. And should you ever have any questions, the best in-class customer support team, they are there all the time. Sign up for FanDuel Casino with FanDuel.com/Bob today and play it again with up to $1,000 back if you're down after your first day. That's FanDuel.com/Bob.
21 plus and present in PA must not have previously placed any wager on FanDuel Sportsbook, FanDuel Casino, Betfair Casino, Mohegan Sun Casino, or Stardust Casino. Refund issued as non-withdrawable casino-only site credit that expires 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/casino. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit FanDuel.com/RG.
I'm getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20, a Pfizer vaccine.
So am I, because I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
If you're 19 or older with chronic conditions like asthma, diabetes, COPD, or heart disease, or are 65 or older, you are at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine. It can help protect you against pneumococcal pneumonia in just one dose. Even if you've already been vaccinated with other pneumonia vaccines, Prevnar 20 may help provide added protection. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. Side effects include pain and swelling at the injection site, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
Hey, it's John Kincaid, host of The John Kincaid Show and 3-time cancer survivor. I want to thank all of you who have joined me in supporting life-saving cancer research by donating at aacr.org/fanatic. And to our generous corporate partners, thank you so much for stepping up and supporting the AACR, the official charity of The John Kincaid Show.
Davis CPA Group. For personalized, caring accountants, bookkeeping, payroll, and tax preparation services, visit daviscpagroup.com. From blowers and trimmers to chainsaws and mowers, Paul B. Moyer & Sons in Doylestown and Jamison, PA has the best in outdoor power equipment, including parts and service. Visit paulbmoyer.com today. You can always count on H&H Heating and Air Conditioning for total home comfort and fast, friendly, and local HVAC service. Visit delcohvac.com.
Donations to the American Association for Cancer Research from our listeners and corporate partners add up to big breakthroughs that benefit cancer patients worldwide. Why don't you join me and make a life-saving donation today at aacr.org/fanatic. Hi, it's John Kincaid. You know, how your home or business looks on the outside is as important as how it looks on the inside. That's the curb appeal that you desire. So if you own a home or business in southeastern Pennsylvania, you've seen their trucks from Beyond the Leaf. My friends at Beyond the Leaf are the tree and shrub experts. So if you need anything, they've got the best talent and equipment in the industry. They'll take care of anything you need from removals to tree care. You want your home or business to look its best? Go to BeyondTheLeafTreeService.com. Look outside at that cold backyard. I know what you're thinking. Next spring and summer, you want to be entertaining out there. You want a jaw-dropping outdoor paradise. Well, I've got an answer for you. It's Landis Block and Concrete. Now, they have a beautiful showroom in Souderton where you can see all of their beautiful materials that are going to help create that beautiful backyard oasis. But better yet, you can just go to LandisBC.com and check out their photo gallery. It's cold now, but it's going to be hot then, and you're going to want a hot backyard. You're going to get it with Landis Block and Concrete. Go to LandisBC.com.
Hold on. Someone just slipped and fell on my neighbor's icy sidewalk. Hey, need some help?
Yeah.
Okay, you need to demand Rand.
What?
You know, Rand and Mike Spear, the accident lawyers, they've won over $750 million for their clients.
Great. You think you could give me a hand?
What, go out in this cold? No, thank you.
If you need legal help, don't get left out in the cold. Call 1-800-90-LEGAL and demand Rand. Or start your claim online now at randspear.com. 1-800-90-LEGAL.
Nothing slows my little girl down, except a stuffy nose. Mommy. That's why I use Sinex Children's Saline from Vicks. Sinex instantly clears mucus in everyday stuffy little noses with a gentle, ultra-fine mist designed for kids. Just Sinex? Breathe. Her stuffy nose is gone for now. And so is she.
Sinex Children's Saline. Sinex, breathe. Use as directed, keep out of reach of children.
No matter what the weather, most of us need to get on the road every day and get going. So we need tires to depend on in any condition. No one understands that better than the dependable people at Mavis Discount Tire. At Mavis, we believe nothing builds more confidence while driving than having the right tires at the right price, so you can confidently handle the road ahead. Roll in for $200 off select sets of 4 Goodyear tires. Visit us at mavis.com.
Did you know that futzing with your thermostat accounts for up to 1/3 of your energy bill? Those little adjustments add up fast. You know what else adds up fast? The federal tax credits of up to $2,000. Local utility rebates on new high-efficiency systems, and PICO rebates of up to $650 on qualifying gas furnaces. See dealer for details. Visit Train.com to find an independent Delaware Valley train comfort specialist near you. It's hard to stop a train.
Attention football fans, rush to Ashley today through January 12th only and purchase the Ashley furniture of your dreams. And if Philadelphia's team wins the big game February 11th in Vegas and the starting quarterback passes for 350 yards or more, your furniture purchase is free. See store for details and see the Ashley furniture of your dreams. Let's go Birds! If Philadelphia's team wins the big game in Vegas and the starting quarterback passes for 350 yards or more, your furniture purchase is free. Visit AshleyHomeStores.online for participating locations near you.
The annual Sixers Youth Foundation Gala is back. Save the date. This year's event will be held on January 17th at the Please Touch Museum in Philadelphia. It'll include appearances by 76ers players, coaches, and front office staff, as well as other special guest appearances. All funds from this year's gala support the Sixers Youth Foundation partnerships with local nonprofit organizations. This will be a night you do not want to miss. So visit SixersYouthFoundation.org to learn more today.
WPEN Burlington, Philadelphia, a Beasley Media Group station. Official home of the Sixers, Flyers, Union, and the best Eagles talk in Philadelphia. 97.5, The Fanatic.
10:51, 97.5 The Fanatic. I'm Andrew Salchunas. 10 o'clock hour brought to us by Window Nation. Take advantage of Window Nation's 50% off sale on all style windows, plus make no down payment. With no payments and no interest for 12 full months, call 866-90Nation or visit windownation.com. Going to play you some audio from A.J. Brown when he spoke to the media yesterday, come up in a little bit. But so what I want to get to about this Howie Roseman conversation, if you're just tuning in, we're talking about Howie Roseman because so much has been discussed about the play on the field, the coaching, and really not much has been talked about when it comes to Howie Roseman. I've heard the best show ever talk about Howie Roseman and the issues on defense. Well, that's kind of been his direction, paying two 30-year-old cornerbacks and not paying attention to the middle of the field with linebackers and, of course, on safety. So Maurice checks in, Ray, and I want to discuss this a little bit. Maurice talks about the NFL is the king at revising and neutralizing what made teams successful. In a pass-happy league, stopping the run is best effective if you could also mitigate the middle of the field and force teams to pass outside of and beyond the hashes, which are harder throws. We need brutes in all levels of such a gladiator sport. I'm an Eagles fan first, but I've always been a secondary Ravens fan due to their physical genome and team-building process via the draft. Honestly, Howie got lucky winning with a backup quarterback and a Brady fumble. Okay. A lot to dive into with those tweets. I'm not going to get into the getting lucky part and winning the Super Bowl. That team was very, very talented as well. That was a talented team. More so up front because like Ronald Darby and Jalen Mills were your corners. But that pass rush was tremendous, and it had depth. And Nigel Bradham actually was not terrible for you in the middle of the field, right? But when he talks about the league always revising because of what other teams are doing. You just talked about that, right? Like at some point, maybe the Eagles will make that change. My question is, will they? And the reason why I asked that question is one of the issues from the past with Howie Roseman was what I would call smartest man in the room syndrome. Drafting Jalen Reagor over Justin Jefferson. For what reason? No idea. I know one of them was they thought Justin Jefferson could only play in the slot. And Jalen Reagor had better leaping ability and catch radius on jump balls, which is just hysterical when you come to think about it, right? And I remember Jalen Reagor had a ton of drops at TCU, but people blamed the quarterbacks that were throwing him the football. Whatever. Davion Taylor, a guy who literally did not play football until college, goes to a terrible program in Colorado, He has the measurables, right? He's got the athleticism. He's got the combine was great. He was a third-round pick on a guy that didn't play football until he was 19 years old. He went through the smartest man in the room syndrome. He then said, all right, I'll just draft SEC players. And that's been pretty good for the Eagles. That's worked out, I would say. But it's been trenches. Other than finally adding wide receivers, has Howie Roseman done anything that has been different than what the MO of the Eagles have been for over the last 20 years? I don't think so. Seriously. Like, quarterback's one thing, because you're always looking for your franchise quarterback. But, maybe not spending too much on running backs. Because at one point, you paid Brian Westbrook, something you probably wouldn't do nowadays. The tight end MO has been the same thing. Trenches has been the same thing. Really, the only difference is maybe the anti-30 and under club, because he did bring in two corners or bring back two corners that were above the age of 30. I don't know if Howie will adjust to the rest of the league. because it's worked for the Eagles have been one of the most successful franchises in the NFL since 2000. I know it's only amounted to one Super Bowl victory. They have been one of the most successful franchises throughout the entire NFL since 2000. I don't remember them doing like much different to try to go to the times other than finally get wide receivers.
Yeah, I guess I'd just argue that their best seasons they've had has been when they've been able to put something presentable in the middle of the defense.
Right, but it hasn't been drafting a linebacker in the first round.
I guess I don't care how they get there, and it's more about them being here. If that, like, I understand.
But like, there hasn't been like the splashy signing. They how many times? Oh man, this linebacker's on the market. They never get him.
Well, yeah, and even going back to when they got Malcolm Jenkins, I remember everyone wanted Bird. It was Jarius
Byrd and TJ. He went to the Broncos.
Whoa,
TJ,
no,
it was two other players. It wasn't just Jarius Byrd, but there was another safety.
Right.
Malcolm Jenkins was third on the list for a lot of people.
Yes, and it wasn't as splashy as it could have been, but it was what worked out for them, what worked best for them.
Especially with that defense, because they were able to play him up in the box and do all kinds of things with him.
And they're able to, and it's, again, when they've had someone back there it's been a playmaker, a la Malcolm Jenkins, a la CJGJ, and then when they've had a linebacker, which, again, they've kind of uncovered the diamond in the rough, and that they keep trying to do that. Every once in a while, Bradham happens for them, or it happens for them with TJ Edwards, who I know, has gotten more play this year in this city than anyone could have ever imagined after last season, because the number of times I've seen people tweeting.
Oh, you want to see? You want to hear the latest tweet I just read?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
The Derek Barnett tweet.
Oh,
because Derek Barnett, since becoming a full-time starter with the Houston Texans, has 2.5 sacks in like 3 games or whatever, and has the most quarterback hurries in the NFL. And I saw a tweet. I forget who put it. So I think there was an account that posted it, but it was somebody else's tweet, right? It was almost like a Dove Kleiman special. And the guy wrote, "What an indictment on the Eagles." But that's when, like, all right, were you really following the story? Because Derek Barnett was awful here. Awful. They didn't put him in a bad position. He's playing the same position he played here. He was terrible here. Had a terrible career with the Philadelphia Eagles other than scooping up a fumble. He wasn't great.
Who you play him over? Like, for him to even get 50% of the snaps.
No, he would be rotating with Josh Sweat.
Yeah, and he's not playing over Josh Sweat.
No. By the way, it was TJ Ward.
TJ Ward, yeah.
So those are your 3 safeties. And they went with the least splashiest one, and it worked out.
Yeah, I mean, when they found a playmaker that can kind of play that hybrid, and I think that just goes back to whether or not you prioritize it, finding someone to get in here that's capable of that.
Right, and I don't know if he will. The only thing, like, I think middle of the field was so drastically bad this year, he may have to.
Be hard to ignore it.
Right, like going into next season, if, we're going through the depth chart and we see a bunch of other vet minimum linebackers, I think we would collectively lose our minds. I don't think he will allow that, Howie Roseman. But I don't think he's going to do this whole copycat league and all of a sudden change what he has done and what the Philadelphia Eagles have done since 2000. Jeremiah Trotter's not walking through that door.
No, I don't think it's like a wholesale change, though. I think it's, at this point, you've seen the deficiencies. You understand where the deficiencies are with your football team. You can't run it back with your third linebacker from your Super Bowl season and your third safety from your Super Bowl season and say, well, the roster around them's good enough. They're going to figure it out, and we're going to be fine at those positions.
Now, let me ask you this question. Next year, well, we use the 3rd round pick on. We got to try out Nakobe Dean one more time. How are we reacting?
Do we?
I'm asking the question. What if that's the message? Listen, we believe in Nakobe Dean. It was unfortunate he was hurt a lot last year. They might draft another linebacker in the 3rd or 4th round this year. But Nakobe Dean's penciled in as the starter next year.
Why?
Oh, man. Everybody was Nakobe Deaned up. I was Nakobe Deaned up. I was shocked they got him in the 3rd round. I just did not see a single thing this year that I liked.
No, and it's starting to show why he was in the 3rd round.
Yeah? I just wonder. I don't know if he's all of a sudden going to change what the Philadelphia Eagles have been doing over the last 20 years. I don't
think he's changing everything. I don't think it's wholesale changes, though. I think it's simply looking at, hey, we valued all these things. If you believe that this roster is that talented and the number of guys that you already have under contract, you already have locked up to be here, at some point, a little bit of an investment. I'm not asking you to go 1st, 2nd, 3rd, keep spending those picks on linebackers and safeties, fire away. But, whether it be, all right, maybe we'll throw a couple extra dollars here towards the middle of the field and maybe a more of a premium pick on this part of the field instead of, again, our third-round linebackers that we're pushing for.
We're not just talking linebacker. They're also going to have to address safety.
Yeah.
They're going to have to address rotational pieces on the line.
It's not going to be easy. I'm not saying he's got an easy job.
What's Josh Sweat's contract situation like?
Didn't he get an extension?
I think he got an extension, but I don't know how much longer he's here. Like, they're going to have to think about rotational pieces on the line. All three linebacker positions, right? Like, it's not just middle linebacker that's the issue. It's every linebacker. And then safety. And then corner. Which is now all of a sudden I'm starting to get a little worried here. My dad said something to me a couple months ago that this team is going to get old fast. And I was like, oh, man, that's kind of scary. And that's kind of happening right now. And now it's up to Howie Roseman to make that change. Now, I believe that he can do it. I do. Which is why today's conversation is about Howie Roseman. I do believe that he can right the ship again. The ship that at one point was 10-1 just a couple weeks ago. I just wonder, where are you at right now? At 610-632-0975. Where are you at right now with Howie Roseman? Now, one of the other questions. So, on the side of the Howie Roseman stuff, we're doing the 2024 Philadelphia Sports Time Capsule, where we're going to give answers on questions that I wrote down, and Ray's going to write them down, and then at some point at the end of this year, many, many months from now, we're going to see where we're at. And the first question I asked was whether or not there would be an individual award winner in Philadelphia. And not, player of the week. I mean, like MVP, right? Something big like that. Cy Young. And I do believe if he qualifies because of the games played, I don't see how anyone else can win MVP right now over Joel Embiid. Ray gave Bryce Harper. We'd love to hear from you on the phones, or if you just want to tweet in the show, give us your answer. That'd be great. We will write those down. My next question for you, and this one is a two-parter, Ray. Who that is on the Philadelphia fan hot seat? Not like, Tim McManus is reporting that this guy's on the hot seat. Who on the Philadelphia fan hot seat will still be here throughout 2024 and who will not be here throughout 2024? I will give you my answer right away. And they're both coaches on the Philadelphia Eagles. Nick Sirianni, who seems to be all of a sudden on the Philadelphia fan hot seat, will still be here when 2024 comes to an end. He's not getting fired after the season. I can't see that happening. I do believe Brian Johnson's gone after the season if they don't right the ship. Adam Schefter, what he said the other day on the John Kincaid show, when he said he doesn't believe Nick Sirianni's going to go, and I didn't need Adam Schefter to tell me this, but when he said Nick Sirianni's not going to go, but then said other coaches, assistants will probably be out of here, there will be changes, that tells me that Brian Johnson's not safe. Now, Nick Sirianni might stick up for his guy. Jalen Hurts might stick up for his guy. I don't know, but I don't know how I could see what has transpired with this offense. And not just, even though it's Nick Sirianni's game plan, like maybe he needs another offensive mind. We go back to the Shane Steichen thing all the time. Maybe that was a perfect marriage. But my additions to the capsule, Nick Sirianni, that's currently on the Philadelphia fan hot seat, will still be here. And Brian Johnson will not. Now, before I get your answers, the reason why I say Sirianni. Yesterday, A.J. Brown spoke to the media. And there was a lot of wonders why A.J. Brown was not speaking to the media. And his initial, opening statement was, I was very upset after that game. Why would I add to the negativity? Why would I say negative things just to pile on to what you guys are going to write? Because it was bad. I remember he said, you guys saw the game? Why do I need to add? Why do I need to pile on? Right? It was bad. He called out a reporter, which I appreciated. And he just, he made this entire great opening statement. He apologized to his teammates because his teammates had to answer questions about him. And I do wonder if maybe that's part of the reason why he spoke, right? Maybe like somebody at the PR staff was like, AJ, listen, man, Devontae's being asked about you. Jalen's being asked about you. Nick's being asked about you. Can you just talk to the media? I wonder if that's part of it. But then he continued. He was being asked questions, and he talked about Nick Sirianni. And take a listen. There was 2 questions asked about Nick Sirianni, and he gave 2 great answers, and this is just one full clip that makes me feel comfortable that Nick Sirianni is the guy moving forward here in Philadelphia for now.
I can tell you that there may be things that Nick probably want to fix about himself, and I'll say, but one thing I can't respect, loyalty is not one of them. And I say that because he takes up for us when it has nothing to do with him. And he gets the blame, but that comes with his job. People say I'm beefing with Nick. I'm not mad at Nick. I'm not mad at nobody. Like we have a great relationship. Like I said, like I got a ton of respect for Nick. But like I said, he take up for us when it be us, you know. And I even said, for example, I'm gonna get detailed. For example, I know that's what y'all want anyway, but I'm I'm gonna get detailed. Like for the Seattle game, that was on us. Like we messed that up. We improvised and we went on our own. And Nick came out and said, "Oh, I wanted to try to get a flag or something crazy like that." It's like he really made himself look like a fool for us. I have nothing but respect for him. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because not all coaches do that. You know what I'm saying? So like, we ride with Nick. We ride with Brian. We just got to come out. We just got to play ball.
So clearly he has a great relationship with Nick Sirianni. And he talks about how Nick Sirianni, and it is part of his job, takes the blame over the players, right? I mean, how many times have we crushed Andy Reid for saying it's all me, I got to do a better job, right? Nick Sirianni might just talk too much. I thought that was one of the more ridiculous answers ever when he talked about trying to get a pass interference. I thought that was like, when people started talking about firing Nick Sirianni, I couldn't even defend that. When he's talking about trying to draw a pass interference penalty. That may have just been the answer that he was going for, or doing something. Because you get the word from A.J. Brown there that wasn't what the deal was. They improvised. They went out on their own. And then Nick Sirianni took the blame for the players. I still believe this guy's definitely a player's coach, especially when he's fallen on the sword like that. Maybe too far. Maybe he let the sword go too far into his body, saying stuff like, yeah, we were playing for a pass interference. Maybe that wasn't necessary. But you hear A.J. Brown, it almost sounds like he's about to get emotional during that clip. I don't see Nick Sirianni going anywhere. Which leads me to another question that we'll get into coming up next, and just think about it for a little bit. We are so quick to blame coaches. Do we have the full story sometimes? Because it doesn't seem like it. Now, before we get into that, your answers, Ray. The person on the Philadelphia fan hot seat that will remain throughout 2024 in Philadelphia, and the guy who won't. And this could be players, too. It doesn't have to be coaches.
Trying to think it really comes back to the Eagles, because that's the burning seats right now. Those are the seats that fans, in terms of hot seats, have a lot to say about.
I have somebody with the Phillies.
You're not putting Topper.
I'm not, but I know many people would. He got extended and people were upset by it.
And those people are wrong.
All right, I bet you our man Sugar Bear would give that answer.
Topper will be here.
All right, Topper will be here. I agree. Unless they are terrible, which this team's too talented to be terrible. But I bet you, I mean, he was on a Philadelphia fan base, let's say at least 30% hot seat. Okay. They hated his decision-making. They blamed him for, how many losses did he get blamed for?
All 72 in the regular season, and then let's see, how many did they lose in the postseason?
Well, I do blame him for the bullpen game. I blame him for the bullpen game loss, where Christopher Sanchez gets pulled after 2 innings.
Jason Stark saying that's not his.
I know, it's apparently above him.
Yeah, which also, if there's people above him,
maybe they should be on the Philadelphia fan hot seat.
Anyways, so yeah, Topper will be here, and you know what? I understand it hasn't been pretty. I understand the offense has not been in people's favor. He's got the relationship with Hurts. A.J. Brown also went to bat for him yesterday when talking about him. He's not a popular figure in this town.
Even though I still disagree with the play call.
I think Johnson stays. I think Johnson's here for 24.
And you said that the other day, too. And part of it is also because of the Jalen Hurts doesn't... How many times has Jalen Hurts lost the coordinator? Right, and think about it. In the last 7 years... He's had Shane Steichen for 2, and everybody else has been one and done pretty much, right?
Yeah, pretty much
Bama,
since high school.
I think he had 2 in Bama.
Since high school was
and
the first time.
And then maybe 1 in Oklahoma for those 2 years. But yeah, it's crazy.
And I think Johnson, and part of this staying is, we think about maligned coordinators here. I look back at Gannon, and, funny week to be reflecting on Gannon here, but, we talked so much after 2021. People were upset that he was getting head coaching interviews after the first season. It's like, well, why is this guy getting it? I wouldn't be surprised if people come calling to talk to Brian Johnson. he sticks around for another season, and even if you don't love everything about him, he's here another year.
Well, and part of it is not just like I remember the Gannon stuff. It wasn't just because of the defense. It was because of how he handled himself and the way he portrayed himself in the meetings with the players. It's not just about exactly X's and O's sometimes when it comes to head coaches. Mike Tomlin doesn't call plays. Mike Tomlin portrays himself great, which is why he still hasn't finished below 500. It's
Another
crazy.
W.
Incredible. All right. We'd love to hear from you if you have an answer on those. I'm starting to get some on Twitter. Ray, if you can on the midday account, every time I give out one of these questions, can you put out the tweet? And I would love people to respond because I know not everybody has time to call in at 610-632-0975, but would love to hear from you, at least on social media, and we will keep note of these. We'll jot these down, and come the end of 2024, we will open up the time capsule, and we'll see what you guys said, what your answers were. So our first two questions so far, who would win, if anybody? The answer could be no, but is there anyone who will win an individual award out of a Philadelphia athlete or coach? Because somebody tweeted in a coach award in 2024. And also, the latest one, who on the Philadelphia fan hot seat? Remember, you have to think about the fans, not what the media is saying. Who on the Philadelphia fan hot seat will stay here throughout 2024, and who's the person that's no longer going to be here in 2024 or finish out the year here in 2024? 610-632-0975. We'll reset the show coming up next as well, talking about this Howie Roseman conversation, but also a little bit more on Nick Sirianni. That A.J. Brown topic that I sort of brought up. How much do we really know about the coaches? Nick Sirianni made a straight-up lie, it seems like, almost, to fall on the sword for the player, which I kind of respect, even though it was probably a little bit too far. We'll talk about it more next, right here, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
AJ Speaks. I'm Ray Dunn. This update is brought to you by Lowe's. Shop the closeout event now at Lowe's with big savings on the appliances you need now. Lowe's knows home improvement. Shop the closeout event now at Lowe's. A.J. Brown met with the media on Wednesday for the first time in quite a bit. He broke his silence, getting a chance to talk to reporters for 12 minutes, addressing his frustrations, his silence, and the recent slide. Among his primary things addressed the respect he has for head coach Nick Sirianni.
People say I'm beefing with Nick. I'm not mad at Nick. I'm not mad at nobody. Like we have a great relationship. Like I said, I got a ton of respect for Nick. But like I said, he take over for us when it be us.
As for Nick Sirianni, during his media session, he alluded to every Eagle potentially being available for Sunday's game versus the Giants. Flyers back in action tonight, losers of 5 of their last 6. The Flyers look to get back in the win column tonight at home against the Columbus Blue Jackets. Flyers have slid to 4th in the Metropolitan Division during the recent slide and currently hold the top wildcard spot in the East. Puck drop between the Flyers and Blue Jackets is at 7 here on 97.5. Sixers off again tonight. They'll play host to the New York Knicks on Friday night at 7:30. The game will be nationally televised on ESPN and live here on 97.5. Keep it locked here for all the latest news and information. I'm Ray Down the home of the Sixers and Flyers, 97.5 The Fanatic.
The Philadelphia Flyers play here. Coming up tonight, Tim Saunders has the play-by-play. Your home for the Flyers is 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Hey, it's Jen Scordo. The NFL regular season is wrapping up, but there's still time to get in on all the action with FanDuel in partnership with Valley Forge, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $150 in bonus bets, win or lose for $5. The app is so easy to use, and there are so many different ways to bet, like live same-game parlays, or you can find bets in the new Explore tab. Try to make a parlay in the Parlay Hub, the best way to find popular parlays, and so much more. Pick your favorite team to win on the spread. Pick a wide receiver to go over on receiving yards, on your favorite tight end to score first, and maybe a quarterback to score an anytime touchdown. It can all happen in that Parlay Hub. So visit FanDuel.com/Scordo. That's FanDuel.com/Scordo. And make your first bet a touchdown. FanDuel, the official partner of the NFL.
21 plus and present PA. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Urgent Camp Lejeune settlement message. On September 6th, the government announced it will soon begin providing fast, guaranteed settlements to Camp Lejeune Marines, families, and civilians. Awards will range between $100,000 and $550,000, with an option for higher amounts. If you or a loved one spent time at Camp Lejeune and suffered cancers of the bladder, liver, or kidneys, leukemia, leukemia, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, Parkinson's, or kidney issues, you may qualify for compensation and could be paid within 60 days after accepting your settlement with your VA benefits fully protected. You may be entitled to a significant financial award for your Camp Lejeune claim, but you must act now. Call the James Harris Law Camp Lejeune helpline now to get the compensation you deserve. We're already fighting for thousands harmed by the water at Camp Lejeune. Call now or you may forever lose your right to be awarded a settlement between $100,000 and $550,000. For your free evaluation, call 800-562-6363. That's 800-562-6363. 800-562-6363.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ziprecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to this exclusive web address, ziprecruiter.com/free. That's ziprecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Nothing slows my little girl down, except a stuffy nose. Mommy. That's why I use Sinex Children's Saline from Vicks. Sinex instantly clears mucus in everyday stuffy little noses with a gentle, ultra-fine mist designed for kids. Just Sinex? Breathe. Her stuffy nose is gone for now. And so is she.
Sinex Children's Saline. Sinex, breathe. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Paid for by Wesley Financial Group.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-909-4747. 800-909-4747. 800-909-4747.
Hey, Sixers fans. Catch all the Sixers games this season at Crossroads Tavern in Hilltown Township. Enjoy $5 Corona bottles. Crossroads Tavern has excellent food, drinks, service, and a casual atmosphere where friends and family can relax and enjoy.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Today, we're the largest injury firm in the world, and I'm thankful to you for trusting us all these years. We'll always be here for the people, not the powerful. We'll always be here for you. Morgan & Morgan.
Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Winter is here, and so are the challenges of driving in icy conditions. Brought to you by Meineke. Here are essential winter driving safety tips. Slow down and increase your following distance for better control. Equip your vehicle with winter tires and ensure your brakes are in top shape. Always keep your lights on for visibility. Remember, safety starts with you. This winter, let Meineke guide you through the Delaware Valley Road safely. Drive smart, drive safe from Meineke, where you won't pay a lot, but you'll get a lot.
Look outside at that cold backyard. I know what you're thinking. Next spring and summer, you want to be entertaining out there. You want a jaw-dropping outdoor paradise. Well, I've got an answer for you. It's Landis Block and Concrete. Now, they have a beautiful showroom in Souderton where you can see all of their beautiful materials that are going to help create that beautiful backyard oasis. But better yet, you can just go to landisbc.com and check out their photo gallery. It's cold now, but it's going to be hot then. And you're going to want a hot backyard. You're going to get it with Landis Block and Concrete. Go to landisbc.com.
At Grainger, we're for the ones who specialize in saving the day and for the ones who've mastered the art of keeping business moving. We offer industrial-grade supplies for every industry with same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders, all backed by real people ready to help. So you can get the right answers and products right when you need them. Call quickgrainger.com or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
We're all here for the same reason. Philadelphia Sports 97.5, The Fanatic.
It's 11:20, 97.5 The Fanatic, 11 o'clock hour, brought to you by Golden Nugget Jewelers. That's where Philly gets engaged. During the commercial break, I was watching a clip from Emmanuel Acho. Not the biggest Emmanuel Acho fan. sometimes I think he says a lot of nonsense, and I don't necessarily agree with what he just had to say. So on whatever show he does these days, he posted the 2nd and 16 play and the 3rd and 19 play and broke down why it was on the players and not necessarily the coaches. So A.J. Brown spoke yesterday, as we know. We played the clip about him saying that Nick Sirianni fell on the sword for things and said stuff that almost made himself look like a fool or did make him look like a fool that weren't necessarily true. I know yesterday, do you have the clip of him talking about the 3rd down play? Because I know he did stick up for Brian Johnson. If you could find that, I would love to hear it. And then I could tell you exactly what was going on with Emmanuel Acho, because Emmanuel Acho did a film breakdown of the 2nd and 16 play and the 3rd and 19 play. And he said something specifically about the 3rd and 19 play that I just can't agree with. And it's something that Brian Johnson said during his press conference on Tuesday. And then A.J. Brown, when he was at his locker yesterday, was talking about how guys just made mistakes on the play itself. And if everybody did what they were supposed to do, then the play could have worked. I don't know if we have that clip specifically, Ray. If not, that's okay. So A.J. Brown talked about how if one guy was a little bit further to his left and made a block, he said it's a game of inches. This is why it's the best game out there, because it's a game of inches, blah, blah. Okay. So Emmanuel Acho does his film breakdown. We don't even have to grab the audio and play it because a lot of it is visual. So he talks about the 2nd and 16 play first. That was the 2nd quarterback design run. And he talked about how one missed block or 2 missed blocks led to Jalen Hurts losing those yards. And if those blocks were made, he would have cut up field and could have potentially scored a touchdown, because when he froze the screen, you started to see where the field was starting to open up for Jalen Hurts. Okay. Here's the deal. It's 2nd and 16. I will once again stand by what I have said over and over and over again. You have A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Dallas Goedert. How about that A.J. Brown slant route? That seems to work whenever they run it, but they never do. I wouldn't mind 2nd and 16 becoming 3rd and 6. And now it's a much more manageable 3rd down play, instead of needing to hit so many blocks specifically for Jalen Hurts to potentially get a first down on a 2nd and 16. To me, I think that play call was all about just trying to make 3rd down manageable, but whatever. 2nd and 16, they lose 3 yards. Budda Baker does come unblocked. Budda Baker also came unblocked from behind, which this is where I found the clip interesting from Emmanuel Acho, because he talked about how Budda Baker was missed, and if he wasn't missed, he would have cut up field. Jalen Hurts did not cut up field when that opening was there. He was about to stop and turn around, and that's when Budda Baker made the play. So that itself isn't the main reason why. There were multiple reasons why that play didn't work out. You're once again relying on so many things to work. This goes back to my complaint. Zach Berman had that list of plays. There have been 19 plays this year for the Eagles of 3rd and 15 or longer. And only 5 times did they attempt a pass in the air of 7 yards or more. I understand that you don't always have to throw it to the sticks, but you're depending on so many things to go right. The guy to get open, the guy to make the catch, the guy to have the space, by the way, and not get tackled right away, blocking upfield, making guys miss, just to hopefully get close to the first down marker on 4th down. Instead of just trying to get it into one of your best players' hands like you did 2 weeks ago against the New York Giants when Jalen Hurts threw the ball to A.J. Brown, his best wide receiver came down with it for a first down. That drive continued. So then he moves on to the 3rd and 19 play. And he talks about the wide receiver screen, or the screen to Kenneth Gainwell, who was lined up outside. He didn't break down at all what went wrong on that play. What Emmanuel Acho did was what Brian Johnson said on Tuesday. Let me take you back a couple of weeks. They ran this exact same play on 3rd and 19 against the San Francisco 49ers. I don't care if something has worked in the past. You don't always go back to it. Sometimes when you do things in the past, teams take note of that. Oh, yeah, that worked for them. Let's make sure to be ready for that if that happens against us. Oh, by the way, that 2nd and 19 play was to Devontae Smith and not Kenneth Gainwell. who nobody is really expecting Kenneth Gainwell to make guys miss. He's not even the number one back for you to think that way. I appreciate Emmanuel Acho doing the time to post some video of the Eagles game the other day. This was in response because they played the A.J. Brown clips, and then he said, all right, let me show you what A.J. Brown means by this. I still don't agree with it. You can't always just give me the whole, well, it worked before. Sirianni has done that this year, too. Remember the third and 8, and they ran a stretch run with Kenneth Gainwell, and he lost yards? Well, we did it earlier in the year, and it worked. I don't care. Teams scheme against things. I know you didn't watch the video, but it wasn't really beneficial to me at all.
No, I don't think it would do a ton for me. Again, you go back to the Zach Berman analysis of where they've been in 3rd and long, to me, is a searing indictment of what they do on those plays. Like, they have chosen not to be overly aggressive, and that's a mistake. I think it's just a mistake with the playmakers.
I think that's analytics driven as well. This isn't me just trying to
right. Yeah, I think it's numbers driven as well. Yeah. I think if this team was a wide receiver core from a few years ago, okay, fine. Don't attack too much. Try and make it happen play by play. But this is a group that's talked about having explosive plays and having moving the ball in chunks and moving the ball down the field.
Explosive players.
Yes,
we're not talking explosive plays with Deontay Burnett.
No, that's what I mean. This is a group that you can move the football down the field with, and you talk about the stats we went through from a couple weeks ago, where the slant usage versus the slant conversion success rate, and when they do this, how good are they with that? And it just seems they don't maximize the talent they have. And I think that series is a massive example of that, a massive example of not putting the playmakers you have in position to do what they're supposed to do for your offense and put you in a place to get that first down. And I can't be swayed into thinking, well, if something just goes all so perfect here.
Right, exactly.
Those
so many
three play calls are the best.
Which is why I don't crush the players as much as I do Brian Johnson and even Nick Sirianni, because that is his game plan, right? They talked about it. Nick Sirianni gets in Brian Johnson's ear and says, hey, you have to make sure all this stuff happens, right? Brian Johnson went through those 3 keys of that drive: clock management. There was the kick line, right, and getting points on the board. That was number 3, and hopefully it was 6 or 7 and not 3 points, which it ended up being 3 points because you were already in field goal range. But I digress. I can't always crush the players. Yeah, if a guy makes a block a couple inches to his left, I understand that. But then also, did you practice it well enough? How many times have we heard? I've brought this up a couple times this week. We've heard a couple players now talk about practice habits. And then Nick Sirianni was asked yesterday about, the stuff they do during the week and how it doesn't change after wins or losses. And he ended up getting angry at the question. He cursed. He ended up cursing during the press conference yesterday. Clearly there's frustration inside NovaCare still, and that sucks. But, There's no answers at this point. There really isn't. It kind of sucks. But I can't have all of a sudden guys trying to break down film as to why those play calls were okay. They weren't. They were not okay in that situation. All right. A couple of answers. So if you're just tuning in, I'll reset the show more coming up in a little bit. But if you're just tuning in, we're doing a 2024 time capsule. And I'm asking questions about Philadelphia sports. And I want you to answer said questions, and we are writing these down, and we will take note of it. And come the end of the year, we'll see who was right, who was wrong, who was on to something. And the first 2 questions, number 1 was, would there be an individual player award in 2024, one of the big awards, yes or no? And not many people have said no. Nobody has said no, I'll be honest. Everybody has said yes, because we think highly of our players, and we think highly of our coaches. So, Ray, I need you to jot down the name John. No, sorry, not John. Jeremy. I need you to write down William B. And that's it so far. Because they gave a coach. How about Coach of the Year award to Torts, John Tortorella, which I think is a tremendous answer.
Both give it to Torts?
They both gave it to John Tortorella, yeah. And I don't see how you could be wrong right now in saying that. I haven't really looked up the odds of Coach of the Year right now, but the way the Flyers have been playing, if it continues, How can John Tortorella not win? It's the same thing with Joel Embiid. How can Joel Embiid not win MVP if he qualifies? If the Flyers don't end up selling players at the deadline, because Danny Briere did say that a couple of weeks ago, if they don't sell players at the deadline, how can, and they keep on winning, how can John Tortorella not win? I think those are tremendous answers from the two of them. Your thoughts, Ray?
I'm just going to see what the
odds are out there.
Yeah, if we had the odds out there for a award for Coach of the Year. So this is my live look at getting to Coach of the Year. Here we go.
And Jeremy says, does John Tortorella count? I say yes. He said they'd probably have to make the playoffs and at least go 6 or 7 games. No, it's a regular season award.
Currently the third best odds to win.
I want to jump on that now.
Right behind Peter Laviolette.
Yeah, well, of course. Oh, no, it's not a bad idea to jump on that bet right there.
No, it's not bad.
Another coach. Not many player suggestions. A coach from John. This is why I said John earlier. John says Jim Curtin will win Coach of the Year. So we got another answer there. A couple of other awards that we'll put into the time capsule here. I don't think this one will end up coming to fruition. I think he's been passed by a couple of players as the season's gone on. But the Cordial King checks in. He believes Jalen Carter will win Defensive Rookie of the Year. I think he's fallen off that race a little bit, but we're going to put that down the time.
Has he?
I think so. I don't know. Go ahead. You got the odds probably in front of you.
I mean, I'll pull up the odds right here again.
He hasn't made as much of an impact basically over the last month.
Well, I'm just trying to think of a defensive player that I would go over him.
If he didn't get hurt, I really liked Christian Gonzalez with the Patriots earlier this year. And I thought he was neck and neck with Jalen Carter earlier this season.
He's minus 150 right now.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
All right. Well, maybe Cordial King will be on to something. Maybe I'm wrong. That's fine. We have one other. All right, here we go. This one from Irvin Magic Johnson checked it.
No way. My favorite Twitter account.
Yeah, no, you could just write down Terry so that we remember better this way.
Oh.
He also gave Torts as Coach of the Year. How about that? 3 Coach of the Years now. And he gave Most Improved Player. One Tyrese Maxey, which is another guy. I don't know how you can disagree with that. I mean, Tyrese Maxey has improved just tremendously. One more for Jalen Carter, Defensive Rookie of the Year from our man Sean from Pine Hill. He also gave Nick Nurse Coach of the Year. We could have 2 Coach of the Years from the winter sports in Philadelphia. Let's go to the phones, talk to Tom in Alabama. Tom, you're on the Fanatic.
Hey, big man. How are you?
What's up, Tom?
Not much, man. Just dealing with this situation. But what did you predict the Eagles to be at the beginning of the year?
I said 12-5. I said 12-5, and the Cowboys would be 11-6.
You know, they're not going to fire him no matter what, unless they fire everybody and him too. Because if you take a look at what he's done, he's 34-16 regular season, 2-2 in the playoffs, 3 straight years. But as much as he's taken heat, and believe me, he's a strange character. He says a lot of different things, and he's not prepped, just like Peterson wasn't. But if you take a look, at the players, like Brown said. Now, I hope he meant that when he said that, because a little bit, more than a little bit should be on the players here, because Brian Johnson, Desai, and all them guys have taken a lot of heat. Well, it goes back to the players, man. Even
my only thing is, Tom, for the defense, I think the players just aren't good. I don't think they're not playing. Do you think Nicholas Moreau is not playing well because he's not playing up to his standard, or because he's just maybe not that good of an NFL linebacker?
I agree with you. Then that's where you have to, in turn, point to Howie Roseman, who really neglected the backfield as well as the middle of the field, because he's going to tell you that he had to pay his quarterback. Well, man, that's not my problem, man. You're the GM of the year, figure it out. But he's got Blankenship, he's got Ringo back there, a rookie. Granted,
that's a rookie, and they tried something with Ringo, and I don't blame them for that. Look, we did celebrate going into this season. I talked about this during the pregame show the other day, and thanks for the call, Tom. During the pregame show, I brought up almost the revisionist history that's been thrown out there by a lot of Eagles fans. We celebrated the depth at cornerback. We may not have celebrated James Bradbury and Darius Slay, not everybody. But do you remember how many people were like, wow, for the first time in my lifetime, there is depth at the cornerback position? Just because maybe Ringo isn't as good as a lot of people thought he would be doesn't mean we should all of a sudden say that Howie Roseman made a mistake with some of those players.
We celebrated depth blind to the fact of potential where they would have to play. Like it was like, oh, we have nice depth here. We have pieces that can build into something. The intermediate
Eli
depth.
Ricks.
Yeah, the intermediate depth I think is where you got a problem. Like, can I plug and play this guy if someone gets hurt? A lot more unknowns when you know, Ringo and Ricks are great in depth pieces that you could build into something. Having them on the field for a team with Super Bowl aspirations gives you a little bit of concern. And hey, to their credit, they have not played particularly poor. Obviously, not a week to be throwing a ton of flowers the defense's way, but right. I don't think they've been, a disaster for you out there. I think they had a couple of good weeks.
Look, Ricks has gotten better since like that Cowboys game against CeeDee Lamb.
Well, also once they move him back to the outside,
right.
He was not an inside corner. You forced him to play inside corner, and that was a big piece of it too. Avante goes down, and Zach McPherson. I'm not saying was going to come in and be an All-Pro in there at corner, but those were the two guys you expected that if you needed, the slot corner, that was what your slot corner was going to be.
Right.
You're not expecting the guy that just made the team, hey, guess what? While you're trying to develop into an NFL corner, we're going to slide you inside where you've never played.
Right.
Let's see what happens.
Because we're desperate and we need you out there.
Right. No, but it's all Sean Desai's fault this season.
So that goes back to what we originally started the show with. And I would love to hear from more of you at 610-632-0975. When it comes to Howie Roseman, where are you at right now? Well, I would love to get to more of your calls coming up next, because here's the deal. Howie Roseman, I don't think has been talked about much. I'm not saying he hasn't been talked about enough to the point where we should be like, it's his fault as to why this is happening. There's a reason why he hasn't really been talked about much this year. But for the last 5 weeks, it's been really bad, and you're starting to see the areas that we were concerned with before the season started really become a problem. And those areas were never really addressed, or they thought they addressed it and came up with answers that they thought would work. Even though a lot of us didn't really think they would work before the season started. And we still had them winning. I just said to Tom from Alabama, I still had them winning 12 games. And I'm not saying that because they might win their 12th game. They might actually go 12-5. I'm not saying that, again, once again, check the tape. I thought they were going to win 12 games this year. I did not think it was going to go the way that it did, though. I did not think they'd be 10-1 and then drop 4 out of their next 5. Did not expect that at all. I thought my 12-5 record would get, destroyed. I thought it'd end up being 14-3 at one point. It's clearly not what has transpired. But Howie Roseman has not really been talked about much at all in a city that he's been talked about a lot in, right? Wanting him to be fired before Chip, then, takes over Chip and they win, but he didn't really get all that much credit. And then everybody wants him fired again, myself included, after things started falling apart with Carson Wentz. I thought there were way too many thank you contracts for the Super Bowl, but one of those was Brandon Graham. And look, he ended up being very good still in that 3-year contract and the return for this season. So we were also wrong about Howie Roseman. But last year, I told you the story at the beginning of the show. Last year, or 2 years ago now at this point, calendar years, in the 2022 NLDS, Game 3 against the Braves, I was at that game. It was the Rhys Hoskins bat spike. And at one point, they showed Nick Sirianni on the screen. He got a standing ovation. Then they eventually showed Howie Roseman. And there were boos. Not 45,000, but there were boos. And I remember turning to my dad, and I ended up talking about it on the radio the next day and saying, wow, I found that kind of strange. They're undefeated. He's rebuilt a roster. Coming off of that turmoil with Carson Wentz, why is he getting boos? So clearly, Howie Roseman is never really anybody's favorite. And now that things aren't necessarily going all that great, and it is those issues that we talked about, those concerns that we had before the season started, where are you at right now, confidence-wise, your feelings toward Howie Roseman? I would love to hear from you. This show is about Howie Roseman today, and of course about the Philadelphia Eagles in general, and also the 2024 Philadelphia Sports Time Capsule. I have more answers coming in on social media that I'll get to coming up next. 610-632-0975. Also, coming up next, our buddy Bill Barnwell wrote another article. This time it's not about Philadelphia Eagles fans being the reason why the Eagles are frustrating to watch this season. He wrote an article that I want to see if this helps you or not when it comes to the Eagles and their chances to make a run in the playoffs. One of the things that I love that Jimmy Kempski does of the Philly Voice before the season starts is the 10 reasons why your team will be a dumpster fire this year. And it could be about the San Francisco 49ers, and it could be about the Carolina Panthers. I love that he does that, right? Bill Barnwell wrote an article about the biggest flaws of every single team going into the playoffs. I had that tweeter earlier this week, I believe his name was Noah, about, hey, man, keep the faith. Like, it's not as, trust me, this team's talented. The rest of the league isn't all that good. I think the Eagles are trending downward, and there are teams that are trending upward. But it is a flawed league this year. We talked about that even when the Eagles were on top of the NFL with their 10-1 record. But Bill Barnwell wrote an article about the biggest issue or issues for all the teams that are going into the playoffs. I want to go through those and see if that helps us a little bit. It's going to be a deep dive next segment. But your calls on Howie Roseman as well at 610-632-0975. Andrew Salchunas. It's the Midday Show right here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
A.J. Brown speaks. I'm Ray Dunn. This update is brought to you by Lowe's. Shop the closeout event now at Lowe's with big savings on the appliances you need now. Lowe's knows home improvement. Shop the closeout event now at Lowe's. A.J. Brown broke his silence to the media on Wednesday. The wide receiver spoke to a group of reporters addressing his frustrations, his silence, and the recent slide for the Birds. Among his primary things addressed the respect he has for head coach Nick Sirianni.
I can tell you that there may be things that Nick probably want to fix about himself. And I'll say, but one thing I can't respect, loyalty is not one of them. And I say that because he takes up for us when it has nothing to do with him.
As for Sirianni himself, he alluded to every Eagle potentially being available for Sunday's game versus the Giants during his media session. Flyers back in action tonight, lose to 5 of their last 6. Flyers look to get back in the win column tonight at home against the Columbus Blue Jackets. Flyers have slid to 4th in the Metropolitan Division during their recent slide and currently hold the top wildcard spot in the East. Puck drop between the Flyers and Blue Jackets is at 7 here on 97.5. Sixers off again tonight. They'll play host to the New York Knicks on Friday night at 7:30. The game will be nationally televised on ESPN and live here on 97.5. Keep it locked here for all the latest news and information. I'm Ray Dunn, the home for the Sixers and Flyers, 97.5, The Fanatic.
Philadelphia 76ers basketball. The games are here.
Tyrese, he's trying to split a trap of 5. He jumps it. It goes through the hands of Melton, but it goes to Oubre. 2. Oubre for 3. It's in. How about that?
Head coach Nick Nurse leads the team with exciting hoops action.
The most important thing is you got to compete and you got to believe you can win.
Tom McGinnis delivers the live call.
Reed out top behind his back. He goes to the left side. Maxey. 3-point shot by Tyrese is good. The 76ers get a big-time 3, and Maxey will seal the deal.
97.5, The Fanatic.
Get ready, Philly sports fans. Home field advantage isn't just a phrase. It's a way to heat up the action in our town. From the roar of the crowd to the iconic Philly spirit, it's where victory is forged. So when our teams step onto their home turf, they're not just playing a game. They're defending our pride, protecting our bragging rights. Welcome to the heat of the action, where we are united as one unstoppable force. This is Philadelphia, where home field advantage is not just tradition, it's what we live for. Let the games heat up at home.
Right now might be the best time ever to upgrade your old, inefficient water heater to a state-of-the-art Bradford White Aerotherm heat pump water heater. It's eco-friendly, Energy Star certified for high efficiency, and will help lower your energy bills. Rebates and tax credits are now available that could save you thousands of dollars. How you heat your water matters. So ask your plumbing professional about the Bradford White Aerotherm heat pump water heater, or visit bradfordwhite.com to learn more.
This winter, cozy up to a home that's perfectly yours with Preferred Pros. From skilled craftsmen and expert designers to top veterinarians and relaxing pools and spas, we've got the best recommendations for you. Let us help you make your dream project a reality. Your home, your life, our professionals. Connect with Preferred Pros you can trust.
Gerhardt's Appliances. At Gerhardt's Appliances, you can design your dream kitchen on any budget. Shop local and save big at Gerhardt's.
Volpe Enterprises. Say goodbye to roof leaks and hello to peace of mind. Call Volpe Enterprises now at 1-855-GO-VOLPE.
Got junk and want it gone? Then you want J-Dog Junk Removal and Hauling. Veteran and military family owned and operated and ready to serve you. Visit JDog Junk Removal, RDSC.com.
Check out Preferred Pros today. This paid program is sponsored by businesses highly rated by actual customers. For more details on Preferred Pros, visit 975thefanatic.com.
What's holding you back from learning the language you've always wanted to know?
Too hard.
Takes too long.
Not with Babbel. Babbel's lessons take just 15 minutes a day.
15 minutes isn't long.
Nope. And they're fun.
Fun isn't hard.
Right. Babbel's interactive lessons, podcasts, games, and more make it fun and engaging, so you don't realize you're learning a language, but you are. And Babbel's lessons are built around real life. You can choose from topics like travel, business, relationships, and more. You'll learn what matters most to you. Plus, Babbel's lessons are designed to get you speaking right away. In 3 weeks, you're able to start having conversations.
Just 3 weeks? Even better.
Since Babbel's lessons are designed by language experts and voiced by real native speakers, you'll get the accents just right and be able to carry on conversations with confidence.
Learning a language with Babbel doesn't take long.
And with Babbel, it isn't hard.
It's perfect.
Start learning a new language today. Go to Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
Nothing slows my little girl down, except a stuffy nose.
Mommy.
That's why I use Sinex Children's Saline from Vicks. Sinex instantly clears mucus in everyday stuffy little noses with a gentle, ultra-fine mist designed for kids. Just Sinex? Breathe. Her stuffy nose is gone for now. And so is she.
Sinex Children's Saline. Sinex, breathe. Use as directed, keep out of reach of children.
The Home Depot makes it easy to shop and save on appliances in-store and online. Enjoy savings on top brands like GE, LG, Frigidaire, Whirlpool, and more. Find kitchen appliances with helpful features like customized organization and save time with laundry appliances that have faster wash and dry cycles. Shop now and get up to $450 off select appliances at the Home Depot. How doers get more done. Pricing valid January 4 through 24. Gas ranges and dryers extra. U.S. only. See store or online for details. Paid for by Wesley Financial Group.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals these secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-909-4747. 800-909-4747. 800-909-4747.
When you need someone to listen, 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is here for you. Call, text, or chat 988. A message from New Jersey Human Services.
Billy, if we win the big game and the starting QB passes for 350-plus yards, your Ashley Furniture purchase now through January 12th only is free. Details at ashleyhomestore.online.
Wise Snacks is giving away authentic pro football jerseys to 100 lucky fans. Munch the good vibe on game day with Wise Snacks. Go to wisegameday.com for your chance to win.
Hey, it's number 59, Seth joining Birds Football. Best time of the year. Bet Parks is the official casino and sportsbook app I recommend. Join me and download the Bet Parks app right now. When you open the Bet Parks app, you're in the zone. Winning is always a rush, but the money is in the moment. The anticipation of another face card, the thrill of an extra spin, and the joy of a jackpot. It's all your favorite games at your fingertips. Get up to $1,000 casino bonus back if you're down in the first 24 hours. You play for fun. You love to win. You Bet Parks.
Must be 21 in NPA, New Jersey, Ohio, Maryland. Gambling problem. 1-800-GAMBLER.
No matter what the weather, most of us need to get on the road every day and get going. So we need tires to depend on in any condition. No one understands that better than the dependable people at Mavis Discount Tire. At Mavis, we believe nothing builds more confidence while driving than having the right tires at the right price, so you can confidently handle the road ahead. Roll in for $200 off select sets of 4 Goodyear tires. Visit us at mavis.com.
WPEN Burlington, Philadelphia, a Beasley Media Group station. Official home of the Sixers, Flyers, Union, and the best Eagles talk in Philadelphia. 97.5, The Fanatic.
$11:50, 97.5 The Fanatic. I'm Andrew Salchunas. Snotty today. The holidays, man. Everyone's sick. Bob Kuhn, I was talking to Bob. He's like, yeah, you sound snotty too. Apparently, he was watching the news and, like, I don't know how they do this, but 56% of the United States is ill right now.
Checks out.
It's funny how I've talked about this before with you. Before COVID, like, all right, you're sick, that's fine, like, work. But, like, post-COVID, it was, so we had the holidays. We hosted Christmas. And my parents, unfortunately, the next day tested positive with COVID. Fortunately, not anything crazy. They're good. My in-laws tested positive with the flu. They, too, were there and feeling under the weather. But not, like, under the weather enough for you to not come to the house, right? And then one of Christy's cousins had a cold, right? And my nephews, there was liquid dripping out of their nose and eyes and mouth. Like, it was gross, right? Everybody's freaking sick, right? I guess the fortunate thing is we came out without COVID or flu and just the cold. But it's the weirdest thing, man. Like, that's what it used to be, right? Like, I remember being sick around the holidays before. I still went to grandmom's house back in the day. And now it's like, ooh, should you go if you're not feeling like my dad woke up feeling sick on Christmas Day. My mom was like, do you want us to come? I was like, yes. I'm tired of this stuff. Like, yes, please come to the house. And of course they ended up testing positive with COVID the next day. But it's just crazy how COVID and flu were both in my house. And I come away with a common cold. We tested everything. Because of
there.
Cooper. Yeah. We tested because of Cooper, because obviously I don't want to have the flu and breathe all over the kid.
Yeah, I appreciate you testing for us being here too.
I don't care about you. It's more so my 1-year-old child.
Makes sense.
Yeah, but yeah, it's weird, man. But yeah, like apparently 56% of the country's under the weather.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that kind of checks out. People sick and
which is why you might be filling in. Is that official?
Yeah, I think that's happening.
So Ray Dunn. Well, are you doing 4 hours? Do we know what's the...
I believe it's 4, yeah.
All right, so Ray Dunn will be filling in for the best show ever. Filling in for, technically, Connor. So, Tyrone, we want to wish our condolences to Tyrone and his family. His wife's mother, unfortunately, passed away over the holiday. She passed away on Christmas Eve. So, Tyrone is off today for the funeral. So, to his wife and, of course, Tyrone as well. With condolences to their entire families. That sucks. Absolutely sucks. So Tyrone was off today originally for the funeral, but now Connor is under the weather today. And Tom Alford is also under the weather today, so you got the double duty today.
That's right.
So you'll be the one that's sick, just lack of energy coming up soon. Yeah, so there's that. A little snotty today. That's okay. Because, we're still thriving. Maybe I sound better this way. Maybe people actually like me this way. I don't know. Who knows? Time will tell. All right, so this Bill Barnwell article. Again, don't worry. I do this for the people. I am an ESPN Plus subscriber.
Congrats on your success.
Because Cooper needs the Disney Plus, so I might as well do the package.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I might as well do the package if we got to play Cars on a loop over and over again in the house. So NFL contenders' biggest weaknesses and the playoff team to avoid. This is what Bill Barnwell wrote. Bill Barnwell's still on my S list for blaming the fans and the toxic environment we create, which is why the Eagles have been a frustrating team this year. I think that's nonsense. So he went in order of, I guess, power rankings. And the reason why I want to do this is I want to see if we can come out of this maybe feeling better, because it goes back to what I said when the Eagles were 10-1. At 10-1, and at 9-1, and at 8-1, and at 7-1, I would utter the phrase, the Eagles are the least flawed amongst the flawed teams in the NFL. I stood by that. I believe that to be totally true. And then they lost to the 49ers and got completely outclassed, and it's been just dramatically downhill since. Off a cliff. And so it might be more than just some flaws for the Eagles. But just because they are on a downside doesn't mean the rest of the league still isn't flawed. But the Baltimore Ravens, you could make the case, per a lot of power rankings, are the number one team in the NFL. Maybe the Baltimore Ravens have some flaws of their own. They are still missing their best weapon in Mark Andrews. I'm still shocked that they never signed Zach Ertz, but they haven't needed it. Likely scored 2 touchdowns last weekend. They haven't really missed a step since losing Mark Andrews. So Bill Barnwell went and ordered the power rank. So coming in at number 9, he did not do like Green Bay because they're not in it yet. He did the teams that are already locked in. So Cleveland comes in at number 9. I get it, AFC. But he said the Browns' biggest flaw is turnovers. Now, I don't think that's been necessarily an issue since Joe Flacco has taken over. He's actually been playing pretty good football. But he talked about the turnovers pre-Joe Flacco, and they were so bad with Deshaun Watson that he basically gives a lot of flowers to Jim Schwartz because the defensive takeovers have kind of made you forget about the offensive woes, even with Flacco. Just a reminder that I was a Jim Schwartz guy. It would be nice to still have him. Just saying.
Who's saving this defense?
Jim Schwartz, greatest Jim DC.
No, I'm not letting you know. No. The dump button works in here again.
Greatest defensive coordinator in Eagles franchise
history. I will not let you walk on this blasphemy.
Could you imagine the greatest Jim DC, Jim Schwartz in Eagles franchise history with the greatest Cunningham in Eagles franchise history and Zach Cunningham on the same team? Oh, boy. That would be a great duo right there.
I'm going to let the pitchforks walk in. I'm going to swipe them in to the building.
Who won a Super Bowl as defensive coordinator? Oh, my God.
Oh, stop. You stop that.
No, I love Jim Johnson. Go on. The Rams, by the way, so he does the team to avoid. The team to avoid was the Houston Texans because of the way that they could force turnovers or whatever. The Rams coming at number 8. This must be a nice flaw. The Rams' biggest flaw, kicking. That must be a nice flaw going into the playoffs.
Is it?
Well, I mean, unless you need a field goal.
Ask Billy Cundiff.
That's a good point. But he does have Sean McVay. A 4th and 4, they're not kicking.
No.
Maybe desperation
Probably
kicks.
not.
But he went through the whole, they had Brett Maher from the Cowboys earlier in the season. They ended up getting rid of him. That Lucas Haversick is their kicker.
Right. Yeah, I remember him.
So you know that.
Yeah, he was the great kicker from that college that I haven't heard of.
He said the team to avoid for them is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because Maher's back. So he said, I don't want to be cruel, but if Maher's going to be kicking for this team in the postseason, the last place he probably wants to be is Tampa Bay, where he missed 4 or 5 extra points last year. You remember that?
Yes.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
That was incredible.
That was so much fun.
Coming at number 7 is your Philadelphia Eagles. So I'll do a little bit deeper dive for the Eagles. The Eagles' flaw, you want to guess what it is, Ray?
Defense.
Yes, specifically pass defense, even though the rushing defense has not been great. I could just tell you to look back.
Why split the two up? Just throw it all together.
I could just tell you to look back a couple days ago when the Eagles lost to the Cardinals and James Conner had a field day. But here's something from the blurb. He said, frustrated Eagles fans might wonder why we're being so specific by picking one flaw. There you go, Ray. That sentence is perfect for you. It was only a year ago that a defense with 70 regular season sacks was about to light up the Giants and 49ers in the postseason. After an offseason where the Eagles lost defensive coordinator Jonathan Gannon, top defensive tackle Javon Hargrave, both starting linebackers and both starting safeties, and then had one of the oldest defenses in football aged by a year, anyone paying attention would have expected the Eagles' defense to decline from where it had been in 2022. As one of those skeptics, though, I never expected the Eagles' defense to be this bad in 2023, which, of course, he had to do the whole, I knew this was going to happen, but nobody thought it would be this bad. Philadelphia is 29th in QBR allowed, nestled between the Bengals and the Giants. Definitely wouldn't be in a company with the Giants. The Eagles have allowed 34 touchdown passes, which is only one short of the rival Commanders for the most in the NFL. Oh, lovely. The Eagles turn average quarterbacks they faced this season into a typical performance from Dak Prescott, who's going to be on the outskirts of the MVP discussion. He believes Eagles fans could have seen a scenario where the secondary struggled, but the pass rush falling apart seems particularly ominous. The Eagles are 29th in pressure rate and 25th in sack rate over the full season. Things have gotten worse as the year has gone on. They are 30th in sack rate since week 10 and having taken down opposing quarterbacks just 11 times over the past 7 games. They had 9 sacks in the game last season. That, of course, against Carson Wentz in Landover, Maryland. this is the most damning thing, and it's something that I remember callers said earlier this year, and something I refuse to believe in, and that's shame on me, but they were 10-1 at one point, and they were the least flawed amongst all the flawed teams in the NFL. I go back to that statement. If there's a comparable defense for this Eagles team, I look at last season's Vikings. Oh, boy. Remember a team that lost in the first round of the New York Giants. That Minnesota team had a solid front four, but if the pass rush didn't get home, it was too easy for teams to beat soft passive coverage and take advantage of mismatches, which we're seeing quite often in recent weeks. Throwing short against the Eagles is like a 7-on-7 drill. Their 84.5 QBR against those throws is the worst mark in the NFL by nearly 5 points. He continues, but I don't really need to continue to talk about the downfall of the Eagles defense. Like, he went on for another 6 paragraphs.
Great essay.
Yeah. Made sure to mention that, Bradley Roby and Shaq Leonard haven't looked so good in the lineup, even though Roby, that wasn't terrible. Devontae Maddox is back, which is why Roby's not playing. He says the Eagles could also try increasing the workloads of top defensive linemen Josh Sweat and Jalen Carter. Well, there's a reason why. See, this is my one big problem with guys like Bill Barnwell. He's not following the day-to-day. Jalen Carter hit a rookie wall. Jalen Carter needed to play less snaps. I imagine Jalen Carter come playoff time might get more snaps out there. Josh Sweat has done nothing over the last 4, 5, 6 weeks. I don't think it's because of snap counts.
No, I don't think it's because of snap counts either. I don't think they need to see more of him to make him more effective. Unfortunately, he just hasn't been effective. It's not, I need to see that guy on the field more. They haven't found a good rotation. They haven't found an effective way to deploy this personnel. And also, it seems like some of these guys have lost their legs.
Yeah. And so he's wrong in that part of it. He said really the only thing to really look up for the Eagles defense right now is Darius Slay coming back, Avonte Maddox coming back and getting more time, and Zach Cunningham coming back. The greatest Cunningham in Eagles franchise history. The team to avoid for the Philadelphia Eagles, shocker, the San Francisco 49ers. He says a lot of teams want to avoid the 49ers, of course, but we saw Brock Purdy pick the Eagles' soft zones apart for 314 passing yards and 4 touchdowns in a 42-19 win over the Philadelphia Eagles last month.
Congrats. This team, the one they want to avoid, is going to be the number 1 seed in the conference.
Yeah.
I was really hoping he was going to try and galaxy brain the Buccaneers.
Well, I thought maybe the Rams.
Yeah, or the Rams. I thought he was really going to try and galaxy brain something on us. Turns out a team that's going to end up as a wild card team doesn't want to travel to San Francisco.
The next team is the Lions, and he said the team to avoid for the Lions is the Dallas Cowboys. Now, this is why I want to try to make you feel a little bit better. I'm glad that more of the NFC teams other than the Rams are ahead of the Eagles in this conversation. The Detroit Lions are the next team. And he said the biggest flaw for the Lions is beating pressure. I don't have to read the whole thing to tell you Jared Goff has struggled against pressure. I don't even have to read whatever the numbers. He has numbers in there. I haven't taken the time to look at it. All I know is Jared Goff has not handled pressure well this year. And so Jared Goff, with all the weapons that he has had, when the pocket has not been comfortable for him, he has struggled. And the team to avoid for the Lions from Bill Barnwell is the Dallas Cowboys, which is what you just saw last Saturday night when the Dallas Cowboys got to Jared Goff a lot. Now, Jared Goff did go downfield twice toward the end and almost won a football game had the refs not completely screwed up that 2-point conversion where they believed the guy was not eligible, which is ridiculous. But I'll read you one stat. He said Goff simply melts down with pressure. His 8.8 QBR under pressure is 26th in the league, which ranks below the likes of Mac Jones and Zach Wilson. Oh, boy.
Ooh.
Oh, boy.
Not names you want to be associated with.
No. So he has the Lions, the team to avoid the Dallas Cowboys, which is a potential playoff scenario depending on how things shape up. Coming in at number 5, Miami Dolphins. Obviously, we wouldn't have to worry about that until the Super Bowl if the Eagles were able to make it that far. He says the Dolphins' biggest flaw is red zone defense. Coming in at number 4, Kansas City Chiefs. The flaw catching passes.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's a good one. Number 3, the Dallas Cowboys. Now, this is an interesting one because he has as the team to avoid the San Francisco 49ers. But there is a potential path to where the Eagles play the Cowboys in the second round of the playoffs. No. Would there be? So if the Eagles were...
if the Rams win.
If the Rams win.
Or Packers win. Well, no, the Packers win because they'd probably be playing the Cowboys.
They'd be playing the Cowboys. So what would have
winning.
to happen, the Rams would have to beat the Lions.
Matt Stafford goes into Detroit.
Yes. The Rams would have to beat the Lions as of right now. I don't know if that's going to change at all, but the Rams would have to beat the Lions. And obviously the Eagles would beat whoever wins the NFC South. And the Eagles would then play the Dallas Cowboys. And the Dallas Cowboys' biggest flaw, and look, Bill Barnwell, to his credit, even though I hated his last story that we broke down, this is a lot of number-based, right? The Cowboys' biggest flaw, rush defense. And he goes into it. He said, if you got an early lead, though, you've got a shot. Cowboys aren't as effective when they're forced into a drop-back passing attack. More noticeably, though, the Cowboys struggle to stop the run. They're 31st in defensive success rate against the run, meaning opposing offenses stay ahead of schedule or pick up first downs or touchdowns on the ground at the NFL's second highest rate. We've seen this pop up repeatedly in Cowboys losses. In Week 3, the Cardinals ran the ball 30 times for 222 yards, which we saw recently for the Eagles. The 12th most rushing yards by any team in a single game all season. The 49ers dropped 41 carries for 170 yards in their blowout win a couple weeks later. The Bills really sealed the image of the Cowboys, though, by racking up 266 rushing yards on 49 carries in their comfortable victory over Dallas in December, including a 25-carry, 179-yard performance from James Cook. So he says the team to avoid for the Cowboys would be the San Francisco 49ers, obviously because earlier this year, the 49ers literally blew them out by running the football. If the Eagles were to face the Dallas Cowboys in the second round of the playoffs, I know there's a lot of jokes about the run the ball crowd. If they don't run the football against the Dallas Cowboys, when that's literally their biggest weakness on this team, unless they're down, obviously 14-0, which they could be.
Which they got down 10-0 nice and easy, nice and early.
Well, part of it was because they fumbled
while they were running the football.
In Dallas territory. Well, yeah, it was Hurts that fumbled, unfortunately. All I'm trying to get out of this, doing this entire thing, and we'll get to the 49ers in a second. All I'm trying to do in doing this exercise is maybe finding a way to feel a little bit better come playoff time. I will say it again. Notice they don't have any of the NFC South teams on here because so far not a team is officially in the playoffs. The Eagles should not lose to one of those teams. Could they lose? Absolutely. It's been a terrible stretch for the Eagles. There's not been anything over the last 5 weeks to make you say it's a lock that they win the first round matchup against one of those teams in the NFC South. No way you can say it's a lock. Should they win based on just pure talent on paper? Absolutely they should. And if it works out somehow where the Eagles are taking on the Dallas Cowboys in the second round of the playoffs, there is a possibility of still winning that football game. It's just unfortunately going to be on the road in Dallas, where Dallas has been incredible at home offensively. Do those numbers make you feel any better about an Eagles-Cowboys matchup?
No. Guess what? I mean, you made your bet here. You were given the opportunity to get the 2 seed. You would have been given the opportunity where the Cowboys, more than likely, if there was a playoff matchup between the two of you, would have to come to the link. And we know the struggles they've had on the road. Guess what? You didn't take care of business against, at the time, a 3-win Cardinals team. Now at 4 wins because of you. That to me, you made your bet. You're going to Dallas, and you are going to have to reverse the trend of this season to avoid being the team that loses to Dallas that allows it to advance.
Get back to the NFC Championship game.
NFC Championship game for the first time.
If you even play them. Because there is a chance that they play the 49ers in the second round.
Which great. You know, we lost by 23 of them at home, and you didn't look like you had any answers for them. I can only imagine what a cross-country flight to a team that went on a cross-country flight to Seattle, and we saw how well that went for them. Yeah. So, yeah. I know you're trying to...
It's playoffs, though. It's different, right?
You're trying... different atmosphere, I'm sure. You know?
Well, let me get to the Niners. Go ahead.
One thing that would be good for us is we can talk about going to San Francisco. And we could talk about San Francisco the way that the San Francisco hosts talk about going to Philadelphia.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, we can talk about how terrible it is there.
Yeah, but I'll go down to Love Park and I'll start screaming into my phone about how much I hate the city of San Francisco. Maybe that'll rile everybody up.
So they have the Ravens coming in at number 2 here. The Ravens' biggest flaw, they said, is fumbles during those 3 losses they've had this year. It was like self-inflicted wounds, unforced errors. The team they have them avoiding is the Cleveland Browns. Again, a team that forces turnovers. And then coming in at number 1 was San Francisco 49ers. The biggest flaw. Can you guess what their biggest flaw is, according to Bill Barnwell?
Staying healthy?
No. Interceptions.
Ooh.
Because in the games where they have lost, Brock Purdy has not played well. In Brock Purdy's 12 victories this season, he has thrown 2 interceptions across 324 pass attempts. That's an interception rate of 0.6%. Quarterbacks obviously throw interceptions less often in victories, but Purdy's interception rate is less than half the league's average of 1.4. In Purdy's losses, however, he has tossed 9 picks on 120 pass attempts for an interception rate of 7.5%. Again, while interceptions happen more in losses than victories, his rate of picks and defeats is more than twice the league average, which is 2.9%. It comes down to Brock Purdy. Is Brock Purdy ready to take that leap to be a Super Bowl quarterback? He's had a great season, right? He has. We make the jokes about how it's great to check down to Christian McCaffrey. That is true. Jalen Hurts can check down to people. He doesn't sometimes, right? And then there's unforced errors. Is Brock Purdy ready to take that leap to be a Super Bowl quarterback and not make mistakes come playoff time? We didn't really get a chance to see it last year. He got hurt right away. Maybe the best thing for him is it's in San Francisco. Maybe the worst thing for the Eagles defense if they face each other is the fact that they don't force turnovers. But I go back to what I've said a couple times. Sometimes it might only take 1 or 2 plays. Can they make Brock Purdy have a bad game in a divisional round of the playoffs in San Francisco after having a week off? That's basically what it comes down to. By the way, the team they have as the team to avoid, not any of the teams in the NFC. It's the Super Bowl against the Ravens because the Ravens can force interceptions.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't make me feel any better.
And can you, again, when we talked about the Ravens game against the 49ers make you feel any better about the Eagles? I still can't see the Eagles defense doing.
No, what Baltimore did? No, absolutely not.
So I don't feel great. And now the way it's lined up in my head, the way this conversation has led me, and this is, again, the dark place I've been stuck in, is am I going to be forced to reckon with the Cowboys' return to relevance or Brock Purdy being crowned a Super Bowl caliber quarterback?
And then everybody tells us, see, this is what we were talking about last year. Go Birds.
Yeah.
All right, we'd love to talk to you more about the Eagles. Come playoff time, kind of goes back to what we talked about yesterday. Can you go back to the clean slate, which is what Brandon Graham was talking about? I can't, which is why I don't necessarily feel all that great after reading this. But if you play the Cowboys in the second round, there is a plan of attack, at least to put up numbers offensively. And it goes back to controlling the clock. That is a big deal. You have the offensive line to do it. You have the running back in DeAndre Swift to do it. You have the quarterback who can run to do it in Jalen Hurts. And if you need to convert on third down, you do have the weapons to do it. I don't think it's a lock loss if they play the Cowboys. I don't.
I think we get EAGLES up. I think we get all, we'll be that. And it's like beyond just like, oh, it's the Cowboys. I think we will. I think a strong subset of the fan base will talk itself into a victory.
Yeah.
Against the Cowboys. I can't say the same if it's the 49ers.
I agree. I go back to, remember how a couple weeks ago we talked about how we would root for the Cowboys in the playoffs if they were playing the 49ers because you'd rather play the Cowboys than the 49ers? Same goes now. I'd rather play the Cowboys in the second round of the playoffs than the 49ers to at least get back to the NFC Championship game.
Yeah, I agree.
I'd rather get back to an NFC Championship game. And hey, who knows? Maybe the 49ers get knocked off by the division rival Rams. 610-632-0975, number to climb in. We'll reset everything that we have going on today, and I'm going to give you some more questions to put into the 2024 time capsule. I got a great answer from our man Raider Frank about maybe Torts not winning Coach of the Year. I want to give that to you, but a lot of great tweets so far in our 2024 time capsules. I have a fun one coming up next, and it's in honor of Ray Dunn. Give it to you next right here, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
AJ speaks. I'm Ray Dunn. This update is brought to you by Ashley Home Stores. If Philadelphia's team wins the big game February 11th and the starting QB passes for 350-plus yards, your furniture purchase now through January 12th only is free. Details at ashleyhomestore.online. A.J. Brown broke his silence to the media on Wednesday. The wide receiver spoke to a group of reporters for 12 minutes, addressing his frustrations, his silence, and the recent slide. Among his primary things addressed, the respect he has for head coach Nick Sirianni.
I can tell you that there may be things that Nick probably want to fix about himself, and I'll say, but one thing I can't respect, loyalty is not one of them. And I say that because he takes up for us when it has nothing to do with him.
As for head coach Nick Sirianni, he alluded to every Eagle potentially being available for Sunday's game versus the Giants during his media session. Flyers back in action tonight, lose to 5 of the last 6. Flyers looking to get back in the win column against the Blue Jackets. Flyers led to 4th in the Metropolitan Division during the recent slide. Puck drop between the Flyers and Blue Jackets is at 7 here on 97.5. Sixers off again tonight. They'll play host to the New York Knicks on Friday night at 7:30. Catch that game right here on 97.5. This update's also brought to you by Lowe's. Shop the closeout event now at Lowe's with big savings on appliances you need now. Lowe's knows home improvement. Shop the closeout event now at Lowe's. Keep it locked here for all the latest news and information. I'm Ray Dunn, the home for the Sixers and Flyers. 97.5, The Fanatic.
The Philadelphia Flyers play here. Coming up tonight, Tim Saunders has the play-by-play. Your home for the Flyers is 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
If you've been to see a specialist about your ED and were shocked at all the talk of needles, injections, or surgery, don't panic. Because Forge Medical Group now offers focused shockwave therapy, a novel treatment for ED that uses pulses of energy traveling faster than the speed of sound to penetrate deep inside your body to activate the growth of new blood vessels and tissues on a cellular level. It's safe, simple, and painless, with no drugs, surgery, injections, or side effects. The doctors at Forge Medical Group will create a custom treatment plan for you, combining focused shockwave therapy with acoustic wave therapy for as little as $300 a session. Of course, if you want a needle in your you-know-what, who are we to judge? But if a proven treatment that's completely pain-free sounds better, call 610-632-8181 to schedule your appointment today or visit forgemedicalgroup.com. That's forgemedicalgroup.com.
A handful of esports organizations have gone through a rough patch this year, but no org compares to Evil Geniuses. Between the layoffs, community ill will due to a poorly run event, and their departure from League of Legends and Dota 2, some speculate that the org will be closing altogether. They're still in Counter-Strike and Valorant, but rumor has it, those doors may be closing as well. Is this the end of Evil Geniuses?
The latest esports and gaming news. Find it online at checkpointxp.com.
Do you owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes? Are you being audited or investigated? Has the IRS sent you a letter demanding payment? You may not owe what they claim. Make this free call to the tax doctor now. Let them negotiate with the IRS on your behalf. Call 800-631-9123. 800-631-9123. That's 800-631-9123.
What's holding you back from learning the language you've always wanted to know?
Too hard.
Takes too long.
Not with Babbel. Babbel's lessons take just 15 minutes a day.
15 minutes isn't long.
Nope. And they're fun.
Fun isn't hard.
Right. Babbel's interactive lessons, podcasts, games, and more make it fun and engaging, so you don't realize you're learning a language, but you are. And Babbel's lessons are built around real life. You can choose from topics like travel, business, relationships, and more. You'll learn what matters most to you. Plus, Babbel's lessons are designed to get you speaking right away. In 3 weeks, you're able to start having conversations.
Just 3 weeks? Even better.
Since Babbel's lessons are designed by language experts and voiced by real native speakers, you'll get the accents just right and be able to carry on conversations with confidence.
Learning a language with Babbel doesn't take long.
And with Babbel, it isn't hard.
It's perfect.
Start learning a new language today. Go to Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Go to hims.com/joy.
Through HIMS, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, and the process is 100% online. To start your free online visit, go to hims.com/joy. That's HIMS.com/JOY.
With savings at the Home Depot, we'll get your kitchen clicking. With top brand appliances like a GE Profile refrigerator with convenient features like a built-in dual dispense autofill pitcher. Plus, with seamless shopping in-store and online, everything you need for your kitchen is just a click away. Get up to $800 off select kitchen appliances from top brands like GE Profile at the Home Depot. Pricing valid January 4 through 24. Gas ranges and dryers extra. U.S. only. See store or online for details.
No matter what the weather, most of us need to get on the road every day and get going. So we need tires to depend on in any condition. No one understands that better than the dependable people at Mavis Discount Tire. At Mavis, we believe nothing builds more confidence while driving than having the right tires at the right price, so you can confidently handle the road ahead. Roll in for $200 off select sets of 4 Goodyear tires. Visit us at mavis.com.
Hold on, someone just slipped and fell on my neighbor's icy sidewalk. Hey, need some help?
Yeah.
Okay, you need to demand Rand.
What?
You know, Rand and Mike Spear, the accident lawyers, they've won over $750 million for their clients.
Great. You think you could give me a hand?
What, go out in this cold? No, thank you.
If you need legal help, don't get left out in the cold. Call 1-800-90-LEGAL and demand Rand. Or start your claim online now at randspear.com. 1-800-90-LEGAL.
Sports bettors make money with VegasMistake.com. The wrong team is favored, and you need to bet on our top play from VegasMistake.com. Discover where the odds makers have screwed up, and you can profit. They cost less than $4 a day for a whole month of betting picks at VegasMistake.com. Get the pick with the wrong team is favored. Don't miss out on this unique sports betting opportunity. Sign up online at VegasMistake.com, the more intelligent way to bet, where we outmaneuver the odds makers at their own game. Hurry, the odds are shifting. Sign up now for less than $4 a day at VegasMistake.com.
The AAA Eagles MVP membership is in full flight. Eagles MVP members receive all of the amazing benefits of AAA, along with Eagles rewards and experiences no Eagles fans will want to miss. Get discounts at the Eagles Pro Shop, chances to win tickets to every home game, pregame sideline passes, exclusive invites to MVP events, and more. Join now, and new members will get a $20 gift card to the Eagles Online Pro Shop, and you'll be immediately eligible to win Eagles rewards. Go to AAA.com/Eagles for details and join the flock today.
Philly sports fans, the energy of the city. 97.5, The Fanatic.
$12:22, 97.5, The Fanatic. I'm Andrew Salchunas. It's Midday Show, 12 o'clock hour, brought to us by Service First Heating and Air Conditioning. Get 0% financing for 72 months and a $500 rebate when you purchase a complete heating and cooling system from Service First. Learn more at ServiceFirstHVAC.com. Talking more about Howie Roseman today than players and coaches, because I think it's something that hasn't really been talked about much. I've given the credit earlier today to the best show ever, who have kind of put Howie Roseman under pressure. I've heard John Kincaid bring up the signings or re-signings of older cornerbacks in Darius Slay and James Bradbury, but I feel like nobody's really dedicated a show to him, and I feel like nobody has really dedicated like an article to him. And this is not by no means me talking about firing Howie Roseman. But I do want to know where you are at, what the temperature is of Howie Roseman in Philadelphia, who I think still deserves your confidence, still deserves benefit of the doubt. But I talk about the good, as I did earlier in the show, but there has been some questionable things. Like potentially re-signing both James Bradbury and Darius Slay, who I was in favor of, but I'm not in the medical rooms. Like not paying any attention to linebacker or safety. There are some flaws with this roster construction, and a lot of them are defense, and that's the thing that's really been holding back the Eagles the most. As much as I bitch and moan about Brian Johnson on that 1st and 20, 2nd and 16, 3rd and 19 play calls, I hated all three of them. The Eagles didn't force the Arizona Cardinals, who had 3 wins, to punt one time. They should never have even had to have been in that position, if we're being honest. And so when I always say I don't really pay much attention to the defense because of how bad it is, why do I even waste my time talking about them? Well, the defense is as bad as it is, not because of Sean Desai. Not Patricia's not changing nothing. It's because of how the roster was built defensively before the season started. Now, I did like the defensive front. We're just seeing the issues of maybe lack of depth. I'm not the biggest Josh Sweat fan. Like, I think a lot of people overrate Josh Sweat, but I do think Josh Sweat is a great complementary edge rusher to a guy like Hassan Reddick. Hassan Reddick hasn't been getting home the last couple of weeks. And I don't think it's just because they've been dropping him back in coverage. I also think he may have tired legs. The interior pressure that we saw earlier in the year. Remember Hassan Reddick talked about why he hadn't had a sack the first couple of weeks, and it wasn't just because he had the club on his hand because of the broken thumb. He talked about that he was getting chipped at a higher rate than he'd ever seen in his career. There was so much attention on Hassan Reddick, so much attention on Josh Sweat, that Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis were getting home. They were the ones getting sacks or forcing the quarterback to roll out, and then somebody else was making the play. And then teams adjusted because it's a league of adjustments. Jordan Davis getting double-teamed, Jalen Carter getting double-teamed. You need Hassan Reddick and Josh Sweat to get home. They're not. You need the rotational guys to get home. They're not. And often down the field, Brandon Graham is only playing around a quarter of the snaps. And that kind of comes back to roster construction. Did we really talk about the depth all that much before the season started? I think we were just happy to see Brandon Graham and Fletcher Cox back. But nobody really talked about Milton Williams.
If we did, it was more in a glowing review.
Right, exactly.
It was more, oh, look, Milton Williams, Fletcher Cox, Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter. Look at the inside there. You go to the outside here. Oh, man, what is Nolan Smith going to be? Can you believe he fell to them?
To 30, yeah.
Yeah, look, they've got him. Hassan Reddick, look at the season he had a year ago. That's fantastic. Josh Sweat, look at the role he's going to play. Brandon Graham's back. Look at how good of a season he had a year ago. I think that all played a part, and I think we would be naive to believe that some of this pass rush and its problems doesn't come from Hargrave. I thought run defense wise, and it bore out at the beginning of the season. Obviously, it hasn't in the last couple weeks.
Which, by the way, they were never going to pay him that kind of money. He got paid a lot.
Right. But I still think that they ended up better defending the run early on this season without him. But you're seeing now what the problem is rushing the passer without him. And as much and roster construction comes into it, I also do think that some of this, like we talked about the tackling stat that Sirianni dropped on you yesterday.
Yeah, when he said it wasn't as bad as what people are making it out to be, and
I remember,
bad.
Yeah, I remember in the rewatch when I said I went back and rewatched the Birds game on New Year's Day because I wasn't tormented enough on New Year's Eve, and I went and it was Josh Sweat. I forget which drive it was, but clear as day, had a path for a sack, missed the tackle, ends up a touchdown.
Was that the one in the red zone?
Yeah.
And then they showed him on the bench with his head down.
Right, and some of these, they talk about the almost and the near misses, and I know we've given Zach Berman plenty of play on this, but I know it's something that he's always been talked about with the conversation of, hey, pressures are great, but negative plays are what sacks are. Pressures are nice. Getting into the quarterback is nice. Quarterback hits are good, but ultimately the ultimate negative play is a sack. And if you're not getting them, you're not getting negative plays. You're not changing the dynamic of what's happening out there on the field. So the fact they've been able to get pressures, the fact they've been able to hurry them, is great, but they have not been able to find a way to pull quarterbacks down. And certainly with the next level, when the quarterback gets moving, then all of a sudden you're worried about what he's going to do to that next level of defense because you don't trust anyone to be able to run one of them down.
And that comes back to Howie Roseman, the linebacker position.
Right.
I had no problem with them wanting to see what the Kobe Dean was all about. I had no problem with that.
No.
They drafted him in the third round.
No,
the only reason why I didn't start last year was because T.J. Edwards he got paid. He was a very good middle linebacker. The problem was relying on Zach Cunningham, who has played above to what I think we all expected.
But he wasn't here. He was a part of the input. It was him and Miles Jack that were here midway through this. And
then Miles Jack retires.
Your plan this season, right now, your plan coming into the season was Morrow and Dean. And Morrow doesn't make the team. Dean didn't play particularly well, and then has not played
hurt a couple times.
Much at all. And then, okay, you brought in Cunningham. That was great. Now Shaq Leonard. Listen, to the credit of Howie Roseman.
He's not afraid to bring people in.
He's brought people in. He went out. It's safety. They had a problem. Let's go see what we can get Byard. Let's see if we can make something happen with him there. And while I don't think it's been,
that's been great, but I think he realized the mistake that they had made before the season started, and they go, all right, let's try to address this. Like last year, it was Sue and Linval Joseph.
Right. Which, interesting. Is Sue done? Good. Is there a phone call there? Like,
I don't know. It's a good question.
I think I've seen him. He I think is like do a YouTube reaction.
His name has popped up randomly a lot.
Yeah.
About potentially bringing. I got an email from a guy the other day. They should bring in Sue. I mean, it's not going to hurt you at this point. But
No, wouldn't hurt you.
No. But yeah, I mean, so today's conversation has been a lot about Howie Roseman, and I want to get the temperature from the audience at 610-632-0975 about where you're at with Howie Roseman. Because so much has been talked about the coaches and the players. We'd love to know what you think about the GM who did construct this team. A couple of other stuff. So we got I got the next question for the 2024 time capsule. But real quick, just to take a side. Have you been following this Jersey Jerry thing?
I was told about this last night from one of my roommates.
So Jersey Jerry is a Barstool contributor, and he did a golf simulator.
Yes.
I think it's the Pebble Beach.
Oh,
maybe. And he said he was going to stay on stream until he got a hole-in-one. It happened today.
Oh, that's good.
2,627 attempts it took for him to get the hole-in-one.
Wow.
I saw at some point yesterday, it was like, equivalent to like 80 rounds of golf. Something like that. And that obviously increased since then. So he got the hole-in-one today.
That's good.
So congratulations to Jersey Jerry. One more sports related thing. Christopher Nolan, incredible producer of films, filmmaker. Oppenheimer, Dark Knight, one of the greatest movies of all time, better than Pulp Fiction. Christopher Nolan was riding his Peloton recently, and imagine you're just exercising. Here's the quote from the story. I'm dying because he's exercising. And the instructor started talking about one of my films and said, "Did anyone see this? That's a couple of hours of my life I'll never get back again."
Oh. I mean, come on.
Could you imagine? You're just going about your day. Kind of comes with this business too.
Easily.
You're going about your day, and there's a post about stuff, and it's like, great.
Or look, I got a couple of notifications on the old Bird app.
Yeah, and then you go,
you suck.
You suck. Yeah.
Thanks. Appreciate that.
Last one at the station. Turn off the lights. Yeah. That kind of stuff.
Or
lovely.
Mid show. I wonder how the YouTube comments are taking this one.
That's why I don't even look at them because it's just ridiculous. But Christopher Nolan, very accomplished at what he does, is just riding his Peloton, trying to get a workout in, and bam, the instructor out of nowhere talks about how bad one of his movies was. He doesn't say which movie, but that must have sucked.
Yeah, that'd be less than ideal.
Yeah. Anyways, all right, so the next question for the 2024 time capsule. So far, we've done, would there be anyone in Philadelphia that wins an individual award? I gave Joel Embiid if he qualifies because of the games played. Ray gave Bryce Harper. A lot of people checked in with John Tortorella. Now, Raider Frank checks in. He says, I love what Torts has done, but Vancouver sucked last year, currently has the best record in the NHL under Rick Tocchet. If both the Canucks and Flyers continue the way they've played so far, Tocchet will easily win Coach of the Year. Torts will be a finalist, though. So just something.
Yeah, clear favorite right now in terms
Is
of
it?
odds.
Okay.
Yeah. Like plus 105, I think it was.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
and then Laviolette was plus 600. And
you said
Torts was
Torts
plus
was third.
650. Yeah.
Okay. So there's that in terms of some of the other awards. By the way, Yaz checks in if you want to write this down. If you can, another Tyrese Maxey Most Improved Player Award. Also, another Nick Nurse Coach of the Year. Our man Broke G's checks in. How about Daryl Morey as GM of the Year in the NBA? Or, whatever. I don't know what the exact...
Executive, yeah,
because he's president of basketball operations.
Who was that again?
Broke G's. Our man Broke G's checks in. Karate Mark goes with another Embiid MVP alongside myself, but he also gives him the scoring title, which, yes, I don't know if that's necessarily an award. That's, you just get that statistically. But he goes Defensive Player of the Year for Joel Embiid, which makes me laugh because we had our man, the NJ betting guru, not too long ago say Joel Embiid is a liability defensively. But, yeah, he probably deserves to be in that conversation. The other question that I gave out there, who on the Philadelphia hot seat, the Philadelphia fan hot seat, will still be here through 2024 and who will not be. I gave Nick Sirianni as the guy who will be here. And if you can, Ray, one more time, here's A.J. Brown yesterday talking about Nick Sirianni, which pretty much solidified my answer.
I can tell you that there may be things that Nick probably want to fix about himself, and I'll say, but one thing I can't respect, loyalty is not one of them. And I say that because he takes up for us when it has nothing to do with him, and he gets the blame, but that comes with his job. People say I'm beefing with Nick. I'm not mad at Nick. I'm not mad at nobody. Like we have a great relationship. Like I said, like I got a ton of respect for Nick. But like I said, he take up for us when it be us, you know. And I even said, for example, I'm gonna get detailed. For example, I know that's what y'all want anyway, but I'm I'm gonna get detailed. Like for the Seattle game, that was on us. Like we messed that up. We improvised and we went on our own. And Nick came out and said, "Oh, I wanted to try to get a flag or something crazy like that." It's like he really made himself look like a fool for us. I have nothing but respect for him. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because not all coaches do that. You know what I'm saying? So like, we ride with Nick. We ride with Brian. We just got to come out. We just got to play ball.
So he's sticking up for Nick Sirianni, who is clearly stuck up for the players this year. Making up a story about trying to get an offensive pass interference or trying to get a pass interference when A.J. Brown's going downfield against the Seattle Seahawks. I think we don't know as much, clearly, as what the players know and as what the GM knows and as what the owner knows. I don't think Nick Sirianni's one of their biggest problems this year. Am I tired of his press conferences? Yeah, absolutely. I don't get anything out of it sometimes. But I appreciate the fact that A.J. Brown opened up like that. The guy I think will be gone is Brian Johnson because they need to mix something up. Now, you, on the other hand, believe Brian Johnson will still be here at the end of 2024 unless he gets a head coaching job somewhere.
Well, by the end of 2024, no, I don't think it's a head coaching job. I don't think he gets one this year. But I think I liken it to the timeline that we've had so far that we saw with Gannon, where it was like after the first year, well, how could anybody be interviewing this guy for a head coaching job? Like, why is he getting these like looks? And I remember, I think it was a story in The Athletic where it was like and this was again back when the Eagles were 8-1, 9-1. This was one of those like mid-season dozen guys to watch for head coaching openings after this season, and Johnson found his name on that list. And it was, one of those nationally tapped in. I forget exactly who wrote it, but I think it's a similar arc in the fact of maybe it doesn't look as pretty as you want, but the people believe in this coach in coaching circles around the NFL, and I am hard pressed to believe, like, even if they do make the decision that I don't anticipate, where they say, "Hey, he's got to go." Like I know Schefter said, assistants have to change, and I think they're going to gut a lot of the defensive philosophy of this team and try and rebuild that more than I think this side. But if Johnson were to go, I think he does end up another nice OC job. Like you mentioned all the time, we talk about hiring the guy. Like he got offensive coordinator. He was going to be somewhere. If he wasn't here, he was going to be somewhere else. There were going to be interviews taken, and there's an alternate timeline where we're talking about, wow, how did you let Brian Johnson out of the building? Where he's somewhere and they're succeeding, and the Eagles don't look the same this year for a multitude of reasons, and I think that he will end up still being here because, we talk about A.J. Brown going to bat for Sirianni. He also mentioned Brian Johnson yesterday and going to bat for him, that he takes undue criticism. The fact that they'll want to keep continuity offensively, continuity within that staff. I think that I'll say it. I don't think he's gone. I also will say that I don't think Topper is gone by the end of 2024.
Right, Rob Thompson, because I would wonder, that was at one point the Philadelphia hot seat. Now, who's the person you think will be gone? I don't know if I got that answer.
I didn't follow through with one of those quite yet. I'll get you one.
Okay.
I mean, you want the defensive staff? Like
yeah.
Desai,
everybody.
Patricia.
Yeah, probably.
I think, I'm not going to start naming out assistant coaches here, but position coaches, because I don't know how they're really.
Right.
I'm not in the weeds like that, but
there might be a lot.
Yeah,
a lot of guys that are gone. There might be a big haul.
Yeah.
All right, so here's the other question, and this is in honor of you, but also in honor of kind of like Garrett Stubbs. So this is why it's perfect for you.
Nice.
And I have to think about this one, and I want you to think about this one during the break as well. And I want everyone to think about this, and you could tweet in answers, call in answers. We're putting this into the 2024 time capsule, the midday time capsule. Who in 2024 will be the newest cult hero in Philadelphia sports?
There's such an easy answer.
You have one?
Yes.
All right, well, I need it. I want to hear it next. Because I don't necessarily have one just yet. It's got to be Cole here. So it can't be Jalen Hurts. Right? It's got to be to a level of Garrett Stubbs. All due respect to your boy Stubbsy, who opened his mouth, talked about diving in the pool, but then said he didn't mean it that way. Anyways, I want to get your answer next, but let's go to the phones. Let's go to BG, Black Gritty. What's up, Black Gritty, deep in these streets?
Happy New Bear, brother. Happy New Bear.
How you doing, brother?
I'm good. You said the magic word that got me riled up. Howie Roseman, man. I need a real GM. He can still be the president of football. He can still be the money guy. He can even still do the trade. But he can't hire coaches for me. He can't get talent for me. Like, everybody applauded him because he's like, oh, I'm just going to go to the SEC championship game and just draft everybody I can from that. And everybody's going to love me and be happy. Instead of maybe looking at people that we actually need for actual positions, because it was so bad before, you went to go do something that just makes people happy. And I'm in the same position I was with Doug Peterson, where we lose the coordinators. You force coordinators on somebody. I don't know if it is or not true, but you fire a Super Bowl winning coach after one bad year because you can't get along with him because you want power. Andy Reid came in, you had no power. Then Chip Kelly came in, they put you in a closet. You got out of that closet and said, never again. And you hired Doug. Nobody else wanted to interview Doug. Nobody else wanted to interview Nick Sirianni as a head coach. You get these weak-minded dudes in, and when you have turmoil, they can't turn things or turn the team around or control the guys. So I need a GM. I need somebody who's going to go draft for me and hire coaches. So you got a buffer, and you still got your ultimate power that you're afraid of losing, that nobody can take away from you because he's not good at it. He's just not good at it.
So do you think this downfall, downfall, you know what I mean, the 4 out of the last 5 weeks, do you think Howie Roseman deserves more blame? Because, I mean, let's face it, he doesn't get really any blame whatsoever, which is why I brought it up. I wonder what the temperature is of Howie Roseman right now.
Well, every time I say it, people yell at me because they're like, Georgia guys. And I'm like, well, what about Rager? Like, I can point to counterpoint. But, yes, it's the same thing because we have the same headlines and the same talking points of 2020 and 2019. And when people say,
I don't think it's that drastic just yet.
It's not yet, but is it not teetering towards the same thing? Players talking trash. Your coordinators aren't looking good. You should have kept the other coordinators.
You've also won 11 games. That year they won 4.
Yeah, I understand. And they also lost the Super Bowl, and they didn't win the Super Bowl. Yes, there's similarities. I'm not saying it's the exact same. I'm saying it's eerily similar when Howie's the one that controls those things. So, again, I don't think Howie doesn't have value. I just think he's not good at certain things. And when those things come up again, what are we going to do? Like, people say, oh, Philadelphia just wants to fire coaches. I don't want to fire Doug Peterson. He got me a Super Bowl. I didn't like him at the beginning, but he got me a Super Bowl. I figured he should have a chance to write his own ship. But he didn't get that. I take that away from him. That was ownership saying, well, you got to take the guys we want. And he was like, no, I'm a man. I'm not going to do that, bro, because it didn't work out last time. So Howie deserves a lot of blame, and he's ducking it because, you know, when he's out there, we picked everybody. He was trotting out on the sidelines, pumping.
Well, yeah, and I brought that up. I brought that up earlier in the show, and thanks for the call, BG. Always love talking to you. There was that clip of him. Well, oh, wait, you guys aren't booing me now, right? Well, that was when things were going good. However, that's for a lot of people, like Sirianni, the non-head at the camera, when things are going good. A little bit more tense when things aren't going as great. He even talked about it himself. BG brought up forcing coordinators on the coaches. They won at Fangio. We know that. It's been reported a lot. And because Jonathan Gannon was a heathen and worked behind the Eagles' backs, we got Sean Desai, who's now up in the rafters. Can't totally blame Howie for that one. But I told you, there's people that are still anti-Howie. I wonder if BG is alone. I would love to hear from you at 610-632-0975 because we've been talking Howie all show long. What's the temperature for you as an Eagles fan with Howie Roseman right now? I think more highly of Howie than BG does. But I know how a lot of people were just a year ago when they were undefeated, still booing him at Citizens Bank Park in a Phillies playoff game. We'll continue the conversation next right here, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Sports Update.
AJ Speaks. I'm Ray Dunn, and this update is brought to you by Pennsylvania Health Insurance Exchange Marketplace. Get the lowest costs on high-quality health coverage now through Penny PA's Health Insurance Marketplace. You're worth protecting. Enroll by January 19th at penny.com. Paid for with Pennsylvania taxpayer dollars. AJ Brown broke his silence to the media on Wednesday. The wide receiver spoke to a group of reporters addressing his frustrations, his silence, and the recent slide for the Birds. Among his primary things addressed the respect he has for head coach Nick Sirianni.
I can tell you that there may be things that Nick probably want to fix about himself, and I'll say, but one thing I can't respect, loyalty is not one of them. And I say that because he takes up for us when it has nothing to do with him.
Flyers back in action tonight. Lose to 5 of their last 6. Flyers look to get back in the win column at home against the Columbus Blue Jackets. The Flyers have slid to 4th in the Metropolitan Division during their recent slide. Currently hold the top wildcard spot in the East. Puck drop between the Flyers and Blue Jackets is at 7. You can listen to that game live right here on 97.5 The Fanatic. Sixers are off again tonight. They'll play host to the New York Knicks on Friday night at 7:30. The game will be nationally televised on ESPN. And, of course, the live call, as always, here on 97.5 The Fanatic. Keep it locked here for all the latest news and information. I'm Ray Dunn, the home for the Sixers and Flyers, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Philadelphia 76ers basketball. The games are here.
Outlet Harris. Harris on the move. Gets by one man down the lane. A two-hand slam. Tobias Harris into the paint, and he stuffs it.
97.5 The Fanatic.
Hey guys, Bob Cooney here. Imagine if your favorite casino came with an undo button. Well, guess what? You get that with FanDuel Casino's Play It Again. Get up to $1,000 back if you're down after your first day. Play your favorite table games and hundreds of slots for real cash. See why FanDuel Casino's the #1 rated online casino app? I've told you so many times how much fun it is to look at their daily and their weekly promotions. And when you play with a live dealer. And should you ever have any questions, the best in-class customer support team, they are there all the time. Sign up for FanDuel Casino with FanDuel.com/Bob today and play it again with up to $1,000 back if you're down after your first day. That's FanDuel.com/Bob.
21 plus and present in PA must not have previously placed any wager on FanDuel Sportsbook, FanDuel Casino, Betfair Casino, Mohegan Sun Casino, or Stardust Casino. Refund issued as non-withdrawable casino-only site credit that expires 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/casino. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit FanDuel.com/RG.
Hi, Leif Erickson for SnowCountry.com. Brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. We're in the middle of a long string of cold snowmaking nights, just what the mountains needed. Bases are getting stronger, surfaces are getting smoother, and new trails are opening every day. After last week's challenges, nearby mountains are rallying. We'll see quite a difference by the weekend. Spring Mountain offering some skiing until 9 under the lights tonight, with Shawnee Mountain delivering 7 runs with an eye on more for the weekend. Blue Mountain, good selection with 14 trails. Camelback's got the high-speed 6-pack dropping you off to 13 runs, 10 tubing lanes as well, with Elk Mountain back up to 10 runs and more on the way there. More at snowcountry.com. I'm Leif Erickson.
Ski and ride like a beast at Vermont's biggest Icon Pass destination this winter. Killington Resort is home to the longest season in the East and the all-new K1 Lodge. Plan a visit today at killington.com.
This report brought to you by McLaughlin Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, your local HVAC experts. For service installation or emergency service, visit McLaughlinPHC.com.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. The IRS just rolled out a new program to help struggling taxpayers more easily resolve their tax problems. It's called the Taxpayer Relief Initiative, and it opens up powerful new options for people looking to get back on the right track with the IRS. And no one knows this program like the professionals at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution company. They've resolved over $1 billion in tax debt for their clients and have the expertise and experience to help you. One easy call to Optima can start the process, helping to put an end to your worries of wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other aggressive IRS actions. Make today the beginning of your fresh start with the IRS. Call the experts at Optima Tax Relief now for your free confidential consultation.
Call 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
At Lowe's, save big every day when you buy in bulk. Save up to 40% on molding bulk savings packs. And there's more. Save up to 25% on drywall boards when you buy in bulk. Visit us in-store or online for low prices on the materials you need. Because Lowe's knows savings. Lowe's knows pros. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. Discount taken at time of purchase. See sales associate for details.
When you use Bounce dryer sheets and your clothes look amazing, it's the sheet. Less static in your life? Yeah, it's the sheet. Smelling fresher than ever? It's the sheet. Oh, so soft fabric? Ooh la la. It's the sheet. Less wrinkles on your clothes? You know it's the sheet. Bounce dryer sheets. More freshness, more softness. Less static, less wrinkles. It's the sheet.
Skincare is self-care, and with daily beauty steals of 50% off during Ulta Beauty's Love Your Skin event, I can find everything I need to make loving my skin a daily practice, from brands like Osea, Lancome, and Tula. And I can shop weekly skin and wellness deals of 30% off more must-have brands. Plus, see what's new from brands like Bubble and in select stores, Sol de Janeiro and Ulla Henriksen. Hurry, event ends January 20th. Shop in store, online, or try pickup today. Ulta Beauty, the possibilities are beautiful. Conditions apply.
Meineke is committed to keeping you and your vehicle safe and on the road. Right now, Meineke is offering a semi-synthetic oil change package for only $29.95 with a free tire rotation and battery check. For tires, brakes, batteries, exhaust systems, and more, Meineke, doing car care right.
I'm Rand Spear, the accident lawyer. Please make the right choice this holiday season. Don't let festivities turn into tragedy. If you've been drinking, leave the keys behind. Let's keep everyone safe this holiday season. If my family can help you in any way, demand Rand.
And now another no-brainer money-saving tip from Progressive.
Marcus, what happened?
I was changing my oil and I spilled some on the floor.
Oh, well, use these $50 bills to wipe it up.
Perfect. Got any more?
Yeah, take a couple hundred.
Stop. Instead of using money, use an old rag. And here's a better tip from Progressive on how not to waste money. Don't pay too much for car insurance. Drivers who switch and save could save hundreds. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
Life can be tough, and sometimes it's hard to find someone who will listen. But we want you to know there's always someone you can turn to, day or night. The 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is completely confidential and here for you 24/7 every day of the year. You don't have to struggle alone. Call 988 and let us help. We're here ready to listen because your life matters. Call or text 988 or chat at 988lifeline.org/chat. A message from New Jersey Human Services.
WPEN Burlington, Philadelphia, a Beasley Media Group station. Official home of the Sixers, Flyers, Union, and the best Eagles talk in Philadelphia. 97.5, The Fanatic.
$12:52, 97.5, The Fanatic. I'm Andrew Salchunas, the Midday Show. Can I ask you a question, Ray? You're more
always
in the know than I am.
I would question that, but sure.
No, but like I'm not a big social media guy. You're
just saying I'm chronically online. Basically. Okay, that's fair.
I stick to myself a lot. I live a very simple life.
I don't.
You know, ever since becoming a father, it's been repetitive. It's child wakes up at 3 a.m, won't freaking go back to sleep. Takes about an hour. And then I'm sitting there going, gotta get up in like 2 hours.
Weird way to say the most rewarding experience of your life.
Yeah. And then I get him ready for his day while trying to get myself ready for my day. And then I come here to work. And for work, it's sports talk. So I have to be, very up to date on all the latest stories in Philadelphia sports land, some national topics when it's time to talk about them. That's why we go through that Bill Barnwell article of the biggest flaws for all the playoff teams, the teams that have locked in a playoff spot so far. I tried making you feel better, which didn't work at all.
Not going to work.
Tried to make myself feel better. The only thing I felt better about was a Cowboys matchup. If that were to unfold in the second round, there is a way to attack them with your ground game. #run the ball. After the show ends, we talk a little bit about the next day. I go home. If Cooper's at daycare, I have about an hour. And in that hour, try to work out, try to eat lunch for once. Sometimes I try to take a nap. Very simple. I then pick Cooper up. I then play with Cooper and make dinner until Christy gets home. We eat dinner. He goes to bed. And now it's like, all right, do I pop something? Or, do I really lock into a game, right?
Why not both?
Sometimes. If we're in the mood for it, right? Pretty simple. What's the deal with these tumblers? The big steel drink cups or whatever. You see what I'm talking about?
Oh.
Or do you know what I'm talking about?
Like the big,
They're not Yetis.
Stanleys.
Yeah, the big ones.
Yeah.
Where it's like people are lining up before the stores open up to get them.
I don't know.
It's a freaking cup.
I don't get it.
I understand.
You act like I'm in the know on this. I don't.
No, but I thought maybe you saw a tweet explaining it.
No.
I understand that these things keep your drinks warm or your drinks cold for long periods of time. Dude, Christy got me a travel mug on Amazon for about $5. It works. The coffee's still hot by the end of the show at 2:00. I need somebody to explain to me, other than people wanting to be a part of the new fad, what is the deal with this thing? Is it all because of that car? Remember that car? That's the one thing I saw on social media that went viral.
No, I don't think it's because of that car.
The car that blew up and somehow the drink cup remained the same.
Yeah. No, I don't think it's because of that. I think it's just, oh, wow, that's nice. I'm going to get one of those for me. And then all of a sudden it catches fire.
But it's it's reached toilet paper COVID level.
Yeah, it's very strange.
Where people are fighting in stores for it.
It is very strange. I'll call out one of our own while we're having this conversation.
Okay.
Sylvana. It has this massive one of those. I don't know if it's necessarily the Stanley. I don't know the difference between the brands.
I know what you're talking about.
But it's this massive water. I don't understand how people carry that around consistently.
Well, she's trying to reach the amount of water. I think it's
the amount of hydration you're supposed to get. Yeah,
100 ounces of water.
Show off
that's
on that.
Suggested.
Let's relax on that. You're kind of.
You should try to stay hydrated throughout the day.
Yeah, you should. Okay, but again, it becomes a little bit of a accessory piece for people. She's walking around with that. It's like it's football players with water jugs.
It's a cup. It's a cup, dude. So all right, I understand that people line up outside of stores for the new shoe release that comes out, right? All right, at least you're wearing that style.
No, but so I mean, these people are walking around. They think it's a piece of it's an accessory piece to them. It becomes a part. Yes, it's a part of what you bring in. Think about it. Think about everything you do with that cup. It's an accessory piece. It is. It's like the new bag.
Do you match your outfit with the cup?
I don't know. I mean, I don't have one of them. I just got this coat, and I feel like I'm, rocking a whole new sense of fashion for myself. I can't get the cups. I barely figured out how to work with clothes. Forget adding a cup to that and how it would accessorize me as a human being. I don't understand why people do this. I don't understand why people are spending so much money on them.
The reason why I even brought it up was it's now reached secondary market because people do this, right? They buy, and somebody's trying to sell one for $1,000.
$1,000 for what?
I don't know. Maybe it's just let's see if there's some idiot that would do it.
I'll be honest. I walk down to MMR. I steal the paper cups. That's what I drink my water in. It stays cold as long as I need. If I'm not going to drink it in that moment, I'm probably not going to end up drinking it.
I just find that it's fascinating that people go out of their way to buy things.
Voyages. It's like these people are Lewis and Clark. They need to keep their water cold for their entire pioneering trip.
Right, yeah, exactly.
You're keeping it cold to drive to work and to keep the coffee warm. How long do you need that coffee?
Well, sometimes it's nice to sip throughout the entire show without it going cold, which is why I don't have it today because again, I'm waking up pretty early that I'm finishing my day's worth of coffee before I even leave the house.
How much is that worth to you? How much is the idea that I might be able to sip my coffee twice a week at work after 10 a.m.?
Yeah, no, that shouldn't be a part of your mindset going.
Right, that's worth how many hundreds of dollars to you?
Yeah, I don't get
Weird.
it. I'm just curious if anybody could fill us in on these cups. What are they called? Stanleys?
Well, I think there's something new. I think Stanley, I'm so far behind on the cup game that I think Stanleys were the thing. And I think it's moved past that since. So I don't know.
I get wanting to keep your drink cold, but a water bottle?
I don't know. I don't know what to tell you.
Now, I will tell you. Maybe I will say this. I will say this in fairness. I did have a bit of a problem with the Gatorade water bottle. I have 3 of those in my house. The ones that you squeeze.
You weren't putting coffee in that, though. were you?
No, but they're putting water in the Stanleys or whatever they're called. I'm saying, like, I went out of my way to buy those because I like them.
Yeah, I think they're nice.
But, like, I don't think it's a craze. I don't know.
Well, these things are multi-purpose. Like, you're not just, like, the Gatorade's kind of a one-trick pony. That's hydration. You know? These are hydration, the drinks you like. I'm sure people are going out, you know, they're a little pregame with the little cup going, get a nice little mixed drink in there. I mean, if you're buying the thing, it better be multi-purpose.
Well, I know when I was in Mexico, a lot of people brought stuff like that to get when they get the drink at the all-inclusive. I'm just going to drink it before it gets warm.
Yeah, I mean, that's me too.
Maybe that's a problem.
It's not a sprint, but it's certainly not a marathon here.
Exactly. Just crazy. Mike checks in. He bought one of the big plastic water bottles at Walmart for $8.99, 100 ounces. Said, I work from home, though, so I keep it in the fridge. So he bought like an off-brand one for like $9.
That works.
Philly Sports for Life. He says, sheesh, give me the $5 one or the red Solo cup and ice. Yeah, I'm all about it. But there are people that are like, it's become toilet paper COVID level, where there's actual fights inside stores now to pick up these freaking cups. Cups! Something you drink out of. Anyways, all right. As we continue our 2024 Philadelphia Sports Time Capsule, I asked the question of who will be the next cult sports hero in Philly for 2024. Before I get yours, because I'm looking forward to hearing yours, Joe Smoot checks in with A.J. Brown. Now, I don't think A.J. Brown's allowed. He says it because of the comments and because of the screw the media, even though that's not what it was about. But he says A.J. Brown. I think A.J. Brown is too good of a player. John checks in with Andre Blake. Now, Andre Blake is one of the best goalies in the MLS, but because MLS is not that big in Philadelphia, I know that there is a super... Look, the Union have a big fan base of their diehard fans. But just like how not everybody is a baseball fan and then people come to the Phillies when they're good, it's the same with soccer. So I will allow Andre Blake. That's from John, if you can jot that down. How about Robert checks in with one that I can't disagree with fast enough because I just don't think he's going to really play at all for this team, for the Phillies. However, he had a stretch where he was just hitting game-winning hits nonstop. Robert says Cody Clemens. I don't think he's going to play enough or be vibesman enough. Like Garrett Stubbs didn't play much, but like we knew Garrett Stubbs as the DJ, as
just
the
watch
vibes.
the celebrations.
I don't think Cody Clemens will ever reach that status of vibesman. I don't think he's ever going to play enough.
No. Nice thought.
I'm trying
That's
to
the
think.
first
Like,
I thought of Cody Clemens in a bit.
Is he even on the active roster next year? Maybe 40 man, but is he up? Like,
I don't think so.
I don't think so. The only thing is he can play multiple positions. Like, but Derek Hall, I imagine, is back on the roster. I don't know. That's the only reason why Cody Clemens came up was because Derek Hall got hurt, left-handed bat, and he could play first base. I don't see.
Yeah, I don't see.
I don't know. But hey, put down Cody Clemens.
I
Robert,
put it down. I wrote it down.
Robert says Cody Clemens. And now a lot of people have checked in with this one. I saw it from Seamus. I saw it from Justin. And I saw it somewhere else, but I can't find it. Maybe the tweet got deleted. Kelly Oubre Jr. is an answer that a lot of people are giving. I think that's a tremendous answer. I just liked him before he even came here. But Kelly Oubre Jr. You think that's a good answer?
I think it's a solid answer. I think it's the right team, not necessarily the right guy.
All right, so you had one right away. You said this was easy. I'm like actually having trouble with this one. I don't think anybody on the Eagles just yet can get it just because everybody's down and it would have to be next year. And I don't know if there's like a player. Like, I think if Reed Blankenship had a good season, that would be different. By the way, not in the Pro Bowl, even though he was once leading the votes at safeties. We, by the way, have to go through the Pro Bowl nominees, even though it's pointless. I don't think there's anybody on the Eagles that can get it. Baseball, like the Phillies have it 1 through 9. Like if Rojas comes back, maybe. And then hockey, like I just don't know who's going to still be here after the deadline. But anyways, you said it's an easy one. And with the Sixers, who is it?
Pat Bev.
Oh.
It is quite easily Pat Bev, if he's not already a cold hero.
So, yes, that's a great answer. Now, Patrick Beverley had some incredible things to say about Joel Embiid in one of his latest podcasts. That goes back to something I say over and over and over again, and that's how Joel Embiid is the most disrespected athlete in Philadelphia. He said that Joel Embiid is on pace for having one of the best seasons in the history of the NBA. He said, I don't have it in front of me, the quotes in front of me. But he basically said, like, he's going to reach Jordan territory in terms of not being able to stop somebody. That might be a stretch. As much as I love Joel Embiid, calling him Jordan might be a bit of a stretch. But, dude, that's pretty big. Like, Pat Bev's talking, like, he's like, if you ask anybody around the league, like, nobody knows how to stop him. Now, of course, everyone knows that come playoff time, double teams happen and whatnot. All right, yeah, he's not going to drop 40 against double teams throughout the entire game. But Joel Embiid getting a lot of love out of Pat Bev. I love that. Rob checks in with Pat Bev as well, so put down Rob Mason for Pat Bev. He also says Marcus Morris because he believes Oubre is too good to be in the cult hero category. So he goes Pat Bev or Marcus Morris. And Ryan checks in with Britton Covey as a potential Eagle cult hero. Okay.
Could see that one.
I could see that one. Yeah. I mean, look, Nick Sirianni basically called him like the best kick returner in the history of the NFL, pretty much. Came close to it. Talked about how great he is.
Statistically, he's been the best punt returner, in the league.
That's good. They just need to force
walking gingerly into that conversation.
They just need to force punts because they're not necessarily doing that.
Yeah, I think it was. This is something that made me laugh. You mentioned me being chronically online, and I can you say a name, I picture a tweet.
Yes,
I think it was someone that tweeted Andrew DeCecco something about Britton Covey being shut out by the Cardinals, and he was like, "Dude, they didn't punt. No kidding, he got shut out." Like,
really? Oh, cool. See, we got to be better than that.
So I was like. I can't tell whether this is a bit or this is just not paying attention.
We just got to be better than that. All right, real quick update in terms of NBA All-Star voting. Shams Charania just put out the first return of NBA All-Star voting. Of course, fan voting. In the Western Conference, your top three in the front court, LeBron James, Kevin Durant, and Nikola Jokic. Followed by AD and Kawhi. Guards out west, top three, Luka Doncic, Steph Curry, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, followed by James Harden and Kyrie Irving. In the Eastern Conference, your front court, your top three, Giannis Antetokounmpo coming in at number one, followed by Joel Embiid, and then Jason Tatum, and 4 and 5 is Jimmy Butler and Jaylen Brown. And then guards, Tyrese Halliburton, Damian Lillard, Trae Young. Followed by Donovan Mitchell. And then finally coming in at fifth, Tyrese Maxey. I'm glad Maxey is in the top five at least for guards. He deserves it.
I am glad. It's really
Absolutely
cool.
Deserves it.
The West, a team with Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Kyrie Irving. Could you imagine if they ended up on the same basketball
played
team
on the same
together?
team? Would have been absolutely crazy. Also, so speaking of voting, so the Pro Bowl, not that it matters at all. Jason Kelsey, I don't even have it in front of me. Jason Kelsey was named to the Pro Bowl. Hassan Reddick. I know Jalen Hurts was an alternate. Jordan Mailata was an alternate. Everyone was upset that Reed Blankenship was not even considered an alternate.
I'm okay with that.
I mean, who cares? The Pro Bowl doesn't matter. The one thing that
Here we go. Lane Johnson, A.J. Brown, Landon Dickerson, Hassan Reddick, Jason Kelsey, and DeAndre Swift.
I don't understand. We are so desperate to find something to feel good about with the Eagles. So the A.J. Brown press conference, There were a lot of people on social media yesterday, and we talked about it during the show, that said, wow, this could be the turning point for the Eagles. I don't think A.J. Brown speaking to the media is going to all of a sudden be a turning point for the Eagles. Did you see the other thing that everybody was happy about when the Pro Bowl voting came out?
Oh, yeah.
So Nick Sirianni announces the Pro Bowl invitees, and nobody looked happy. And everyone was like, yeah, this is what I like to see. Nobody's happy that they're being invited to the Pro Bowl. This shows that the job's not done yet. Well, they're just not happy. They're miserable because they've lost 4 of their last 5 games. And I don't think getting into the Pro Bowl is really necessarily going to boost their spirits. Or I don't think they're going to be motivated because, this isn't enough for them. I don't know.
They're upset they're going to have to end up going to the Pro Bowl.
Yeah, I don't reach as much as a lot of fans that seem to be reaching right now. I would look to find anything positive right now in the Eagles. I would love it. I would look to find anything positive in the Eagles right now. I just can't find it. But I'm not going to go out of my way to look for it.
We've tried. We've given our best effort. Bill Barnwell story.
Yeah.
We had the day last week leading into the Cardinals. I remember that I did a whole confidence show before the Cowboys game. I've tried my best to turn this thing around. But yeah, I'm in a dark place. I'm not going to just turn that off because woohoo. I mean, I'm an Eagles fan, and that's what I want to see. I'm not going to invent the narrative in my head. Do I think A.J. Brown did a great job in his media availability yesterday? Absolutely. Do I think that is the launching point? I called it a Hollywood script yesterday, and I'll stick to that. I think thinking that, wow, this guy spoke, and wow,
it's going to turn things around.
In the team meeting, all these guys are upset when they're getting all these accolades because they only care about winning. And it's like, yeah, of course they only care about winning. And let's be honest, you got named to the Pro Bowl. This isn't, an all-pro thing. And maybe one of them got like a bonus triggered by that. But honestly, did I expect them to be thrilled? Hey, before we break down the tape of our loss to the Cardinals for the 5th time this week,
we're going to give the Pro Bowls and we're going to see whether or not you're happy about it.
Right. It's like, oh yeah, that's going to remove my mood.
No, and them not being happy doesn't mean that they're motivated or something. There's just some things that I don't read too much into. All right, you're done for today.
Yes.
Here on the Midday Show because you're going to go get set for the best show ever. Again, our condolences to Tyrone Johnson and his family. Connor was supposed to fill in because Tyrone is at his mother-in-law's funeral, but Connor is now under the weather, as it's all over the entire world. So Ray's going to be filling in. Mike Vito is going to step in to produce the rest of the show, so I appreciate Mike for doing that. We have one segment left. We'll continue your phone calls, talking about the Eagles, talking about Howie Roseman. Also, a little update on a big free agent pitcher that is out there that the Phillies have been tied to a lot. That's obviously still available, not Yamamoto, because a lot of people wanted him. But an update on a pitcher that's out there. I'll tell you who that is and what it is next right here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
A.J. Brown speaks to the media. I'm Ray Dunn. This update is brought to you by Mattress Firm. A new year calls for a better bed. At Mattress Firm's once-a-year sale and clearance, save up to 60% on select mattresses. The right mattress matters, and Mattress Firm will find yours. A.J. Brown broke his silence to the media on Wednesday. The wide receiver spoke to a group of reporters, addressing his frustrations, his silence, and the recent slide for the. Among his primary things addressed, the respect he has for head coach Nick Sirianni.
I can tell you that there may be things that Nick probably want to fix about himself. And I'll say, but one thing I can't respect, loyalty is not one of them. And I say that because he takes up for us when it has nothing to do with him.
As for Sirianni, he alluded to every Eagle potentially being available for Sunday's game versus the Giants during his media session. Flyers back in action tonight, lose to 5 of their last 6. Flyers look to get back in the win column tonight at home against the Columbus Blue Jackets. Flyers have slid to 4th in the Metropolitan Division during the recent slide and currently hold the top wildcard spot in the East. Puck drop between the Flyers and Blue Jackets is at 7 here on 97.5. Sixers off again tonight. They'll play host to the New York Knicks on Friday night at 7:30. The game will be nationally televised on ESPN and live here on 97.5. Keep it locked here for all the latest news and information. I'm Ray Dunn, the home for the Sixers and Flyers, 97.5, The Fanatic.
The Philadelphia Flyers play here. Coming up tonight, Tim Saunders has the play-by-play. Your home for the Flyers is 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Patrick was way behind on his IRS taxes.
I was in way over my head. The total amount ended up being somewhere just over $30,000. $30,000.
Then the IRS came to collect.
Started getting letter after letter. A lien had been filed against me. They were going to basically hang me completely out to dry.
He had to do something.
That's when I reached out to Optima Tax Relief.
Patrick's life quickly got a lot easier.
It was very easy. Pretty much hands off, They picked up the ball and ran with it.
And how'd it go?
I couldn't believe it. I had to ask 2 or 3 times. I saved an incredible amount of money.
How does Patrick feel about Optima?
Couldn't be happier. They definitely helped me. Optima Tax Relief, the best place to call. They're the best in the business.
Do what Patrick did and call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Hey, Philadelphia. Looking for new ways to save? Verizon has your family covered. Get $800 in Verizon gift cards when you switch your family of 4. And get 4 new phones on us with Select Trade-In and Unlimited Ultimate. There's never been a better time to switch. But this offer won't last forever, so hurry in. Switch to the network America relies on. Get $800 in gift cards and get new phones for the whole family on us with Select Trade-In and Unlimited Ultimate. A better plan to save is Verizon. Visit your local Verizon store today. $999.99 device payment or full retail purchase with new smartphone line on Unlimited Ultimate plan required per phone. $200 Verizon e-gift card with port in per line. Less $1,000 trade-in/promo credit applied over 36 months. Promo credit ends if eligibility requirements are no longer met. 0% APR.
Hey guys, Bob Cooney here. The NFL regular season, it's wrapping up, but there's still time to get in on the action with FanDuel in partnership with Valley Forge, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $150 in bonus bets, whether you win or lose. The app, it's so easy to use, and there's so many different ways you can bet. Live same-game parlays, or you can find bets in the new Explore tab. You can try to make a parlay in the Parlay Hub, the best way to find popular parlays, and so much more. You know what they are. It's the last week of the season. You can find so many great things to bet on. Some may say it's easier at the last game. Take a look. So visit FanDuel.com/Bob. That's FanDuel.com/Bob and make your first bet a layup. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
21 plus in President PA. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Strap in for some full-throttle fierceness. A new season of RuPaul's Drag Race on MTV is speeding your way, and Philo is the most affordable way to watch. We've got 70-plus channels of live and on-demand TV for just $25 a month. Get top channels like MTV, VH1, AMC, Discovery, Nickelodeon, and more, plus unlimited DVR so you can save all your faves. So get ready, set, slay, and watch the new season of RuPaul's Drag Race on MTV with Philo today. Visit philo.tv to get started. That's philo.tv.
On the day after press conference, Tim McManus asked Coach Sirianni if he agreed that even when the Birds were winning, there seemed to be a weight to this team. Coach said that he thinks that the high expectations that the coaches and players have for their team and wanting to live up to them plays a role. But they have to understand that it's about daily improvements. And this week, it's his job to focus them on what they need to do to beat New York.
New year, new car. Right, Birds Coach Nick? Boy, I guess. Chiefs. This is Coach Sirianni. Is Barbera the best? Boy, I guess. Go Birds.
Dallas still sucks.com.
And now another no-brainer money-saving tip from Progressive.
That doesn't sound good.
The paper shredder's jammed, but I think I fixed it.
Oh, well, try shredding these $50 bills then.
Seems like it's working.
Better try another $400.
Stop. Instead of using money, use regular paper. And here's a better tip from Progressive on how not to waste money. Don't pay too much for car insurance. Drivers who switch and save could save hundreds. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
Join the Junior 76ers Kids Club, presented by Five Below today. Sign up for a free rookie membership or join as an all-star member for your very own Junior 76ers welcome kit, featuring a Tyrese Maxey poster, a Junior 76ers blanket, crock charms, and more. As a Junior 76ers Kids Club All-Star member, your child will also receive access to exclusive member events throughout the season. Sign up today at Sixers.com/Kids Club.
Hi, it's John Kincaid. You know, I'm not just a spokesperson for H&H Heating and Air Conditioning. I'm a paying customer. And why? Because I know that the folks at DelcoHVAC.com are the best. Now, we already had our gas furnace tune-up. Why haven't you? For only $59, including a free carbon monoxide check, you can schedule that gas furnace tune-up now. And you're going to need it. The cold weather's really starting to roll in. If you need a new system, ask about special financing or up to $1,200 in rebates on qualifying systems, subject to credit approval. See the dealer for details. H&H Heating and Air Conditioning is an independent trained dealer, and you can find them online at DelcoHVAC.com. That's DelcoHVAC.com.
Wise Snacks is giving away authentic pro football jerseys to 100 lucky fans. Munch the good vibe on game day with Wise Snacks. Go to wisegameday.com for your chance to win.
Don't miss Coach Sirianni's press conference after every game, brought to you by the AAA Eagles MVP Experience, offering discounts, rewards, and experiences no Eagles fan will want to miss. Go to AAA.com/Eagles and become an MVP today.
Don't miss the Sports Investors Daily Radio Show. Host Chris Hodge breaks down college and pro games from a gambling perspective every Saturday and Sunday morning at 8 on the Fanatic.
Guys, it happens. You came ready to play, but there's no strong finish. Whether you're having trouble penetrating the goal line or making it through a 2-minute drill, you are not alone. Hi, Dr. Avidan Appel here of Iron Mountain Men's Health. If you're experiencing ED or low testosterone, our team can prescribe a safe, effective, and affordable program designed to treat your unique symptoms. And if you've been struggling to lose weight, find out if prescription Ozempic could help you as well. Schedule a free consultation at IronMountainMen'sHealth.com. That's Iron Mountain Men's Health, and get back to scoring touchdowns.
Drexel Basketball is proud to now be a member of the Philadelphia Big Five, and you're invited to be a part of this historic inaugural season. Join fans from all over Philly as our Drexel Dragons take the court against Division I rivals from across the country right on Market Street in the Daskalaskis Athletic Center. Experience the excitement of Drexel men's and women's basketball in one of the most intimate sporting venues in the city. Don't miss your chance to roar with the Dragons. For tickets, go to drexel.edu/Dragon Tickets.
Philly sports. We're born into it. 97.5, The Fanatic.
121, 97.5, The Fanatic. I'm Andrew Salchunas. It's the Midday Show, 1 o'clock hour. Brought to us by Ferguson HVAC Lyon Conklin. Attention HVAC contractors. For equipment, parts, and supplies for every heating and cooling job, visit one of Ferguson's counter locations in Ben Salem, King of Prussia, Pennsauken, or Westchester. I hope everybody's enjoying their Thursday afternoon. Tomorrow, a football Friday. A football Friday leading into an Eagles-Giants game that, look, I'll stand by it. I don't think the starters should play. And so let me bring this back to you. So yesterday, we got into this conversation, and we'll talk more about it tomorrow. There's a reason why I didn't really bring it up today, because I didn't want to bring up a conversation we had yesterday and then potentially get into it again tomorrow. So, because there's not many storylines going in this game, right? Like, I can't do the whole, is there anything you could see coming out of this game that will make you feel good about the playoffs? No, because they beat the Giants earlier this season, 2 weeks ago, barely. And the good that I saw was really only Jalen Hurts and, finding some great throws to A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert. And then they lose the very next week to the Arizona Cardinals. It's not like there was a roll. There was no momentum built following that victory. So I don't think there's anything, and Ray and I had a heated debate about this yesterday. I don't think there's anything that they can come away with tomorrow or on Sunday where I'm going to go, all right, great. Let's see you come playoff time. So my honest answer, thinking about it overnight after we did the show yesterday, I would rest a lot of the starters on Sunday for a multitude of reasons. There's nothing really working right now anyway. That turf at MetLife is terrible. Some of your better players are banged up right now. I mean, look, we've not talked about the Jalen Hurts knee really for a while. I'm sure it's still bothering them. Every player's banged up at this point in the season. We know that. It's a cliche, but it's true. Devontae Smith, I don't need that guy walking off the field or leaving the stadium last week in a walking boot and then playing on MetLife's turf when he's got to be cutting all over the field. No, I don't need that. Give DeAndre Swift some rest for his legs. Let Kenneth Gainwell. They love Kenneth Gainwell anyway. Let him play. The offensive line might need it. Guys on defense definitely need it, especially guys like Hassan Reddick and Josh Sweat, who are your only hope of getting to the quarterback. And they're clearly cooked right now. All the snaps that they've played. Jalen Carter as well. You've relied too much on Jalen Carter this season. He's already hit that rookie wall, so maybe a week off would be good for him. The only thing that keeps me from diving fully into saying yes is the absolute worst case scenario would be the Cowboys losing to the Commanders and the Eagles not playing their starters and then losing to the Giants because of it. That would be the worst case scenario because you would have had every opportunity to win the 2 seed. Instead, you're still going to the playoffs as the 5 seed because you couldn't handle your business because you didn't have your starters on the field. And I know that's my biggest concern. The thing that I don't agree with, and Ray said this a lot yesterday, I remember there was a guy, Al, who tweeted in yesterday that they don't deserve the week off. They don't deserve a week's off of rest. I don't care about deserving. No, you're right. They don't deserve it. The way they do deserve it is by winning the 1 seed and locking that in and not having to play week 18 and then also getting a bye week. That's how they would have deserved it. Or controlling their destiny and winning against the Seahawks, winning against the Cardinals, and then having that chance to take off week 18. I know the 2 seed is still up for grabs, barely. I don't care about deserving. I don't care about guys needing a day off because they've played so hard this year. No, I think it's just rest might be necessary. It might be the only answer they have left. So the poll we ran yesterday, should the Eagles consider resting their starters on Sunday, 54% of the people ended up saying no. That means 46% of the people ended up saying yes. So this could lead to a terribly boring football Friday tomorrow if we're talking about resting starters in a game that has some merit to it, but may not once the Cowboys are up big at halftime. But then that leads to the Eagles benching starters at halftime, I would imagine. I would scoreboard watch if I was the Eagles coaching staff. But I know Tasty Cake Dom does not want to rest the starters. What's up, Dommy?
Andrew, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you as well, Tasty Cake Dom.
How's things going, right?
It's good. Yeah, things are great. I mean, I wish the Eagles were better.
Yeah. What you just said, Andrew, I wasn't even going to call and talk about the Eagles yet because I have such a hard time digesting what happened Sunday. My mind is, but I agree with what you just said. You can't rest your starters because Dallas thinks too much on the road. They're 100% capable of going into Washington and losing.
They are capable. Absolutely. I just don't believe that to happen. I think they will handle their business against the Commanders.
The Eagles really should be in the lead still. The Detroit coach is the biggest idiot. You go for 2 on the 7-yard line, you don't deserve to be a head coach. I mean, it was the decisions that were made at the end of that game. I'm talking about Detroit, Dallas.
Yeah, I was cool with the 2-point conversion call at the beginning. And then when they don't get it and there's the penalty, they should have just taken the point.
They did get it. They did get it, but there was a pass. Dallas got about 3 home field calls in that game. Whatever. I swear I wasn't going to do this to you, Andrew, because I don't want to sound like a crybaby. But ultimately, I think the Eagles just got to win that game if they can against the Giants, playing everybody they got to play, and let the cards play out because I'm not afraid of anybody coming here. I'm not afraid of the Dallas Cowboys. If we got home games, I think they could turn it around.
Well, if they don't have home games, let's say they're on the road, do you still feel that great going into Dallas?
Not as great.
Okay.
I mean, it's hard for I say that to you, right, Andrew? We've been talking forever,
right.
But I sound like a lunatic saying, I'm not afraid of anybody watching that defense Sunday. How can you say that? I mean, that was the worst defensive game I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah, against a 3-win team.
Yep. I wanted to get my hot take in because I can't believe how much I'm on board with these Sixers.
Okay.
But I spoke to Mike about this. He disagrees with me. But because he's getting so much time because Embiid doesn't play, I'm a playoff Paul guy tremendously.
You can be.
I mean, I just think I didn't realize he was as good as he is.
Look, I love his energy. I still think he has to learn more about the NBA game. I like his energy on defense, getting some rebounds, blocking some shots.
Right.
It's just
I agree.
when Joel Embiid's on the court, it's, Paul Reed's getting 5 minutes for me in the playoffs.
And so, Andrew, we've been talking, and I'll make quick. We've been talking forever, right?
Yep.
You don't think I'm a hot take guy, right?
No.
I don't.
No.
I'm not a hot take guy.
No.
But I'm going to say this to you right now. The stone cold mortal lock of my life is the Sixers will win the NBA championship this year.
Wow. Okay.
They're going to win it. I'm so convinced about them. I would put my retirement check that I just got 6 weeks ago on it. They are so different within. They're 20. They're right there with Boston and Milwaukee when Embiid. They're 21-5, and here's why: the genius of the head coach here. They can't win that game Friday. They can't win that game Friday. They got killed at halftime, right, Andrew? They're getting out rebounded 26.
Yeah, with Doc Rivers, that's what he calls a schedule loss. Thanks for the call, Dom. He goes schedule loss if it's Doc Rivers. I said, so we did a show. I told you guys about this a little bit yesterday or 2 days ago. I forget when I brought it up. I brought you behind the curtain a little bit. We recorded a show that aired on Christmas Day and New Year's Day. And it was me with Tyrone and Ricky and John and Bob. And we ran around the room and we did our bold predictions for 2024 toward the end of the show. And John gave the Flyers to make the playoffs, which I thought was awesome. I don't remember what Tyrone and Ricky gave. I think Ricky gave Tyrese Maxey to win Comeback Player of the Year. I'm trying to remember what Tyrone gave. But Bob and I gave the same one. That this would be the year the Sixers got to the Eastern Conference Finals. That they would get out of the second round. Now, Dom's going as far as NBA championship and winning the NBA championship. But I did say just a couple of weeks ago that I thought this would be the year that the Sixers got to the Eastern Conference Finals. And I stand by it. I truly believe it. This team is very good. Joel Embiid is playing even better than he has last year and the year before that and the year before that and the year before that. As long as he can stay healthy come playoff time, which I know that's a tough one. But Joel Embiid is playing at an all-time level. Tyrese Maxey has taken that step forward. Huge step forward. I do think they still need to add somebody, a couple of pieces maybe. But with Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey, the way they're playing at their level and the depth that this team has had and the areas of depth, like they have wing scorers now. Like Kelly Oubre is a wing scorer. They have not had that my whole life. My whole life. It's nice to see a wing scorer on the Philadelphia Sixers, a guy that can hit a spot up three, a guy that can create his own shot, a guy that can catch an outlet pass and drive down the court. Like, it's beautiful. I've never had that. Thank you, Daryl Morey. Finally. Thank you. But I like the tasty game Dom is going that far. Now, back to this Eagles benching starters thing. I just saw something pop up on my timeline. I want to thank Matt Catrillo. Matt, actually, a former intern here at the station. He and I were interns together way back when. Matt quote tweeted a tweet from J.P. Finley, who does stuff for 106.7 The Fan in D.C. And he tweeted out that he is getting the vibe that a lot of Commanders veterans will not be playing this weekend. So that may mean that they're playing a bunch of practice squad guys, maybe more rookies that aren't on the field all the time or getting more snaps. Look, if the Commanders are basically punting the game away for, draft position or whatever, this goes back to the resting starters thing. You have to seriously consider this. Because if the Cowboys go in there and walk away with a win easily, and the Eagles once again playing on that terrible turf in MetLife, I don't think it's a terrible idea to rest the starters. I'm, again, on the fence, leaning toward yes. The only thing that keeps me there is the possibility of still getting the 2 seed. Ray yesterday was completely adamant against it. I don't know how you could be completely against it. We had a caller yesterday that said that's a coward move. I don't know what's cowardice about it. What's cowardice about it? It's not that you're I want to lose so that we play the NFC South and not be the 2 seed and play the 7 seed. It's not that. That's not what the messaging is. To me, the messaging is, all right, you're not going to move. You're probably going to stay in the 5 seed if the Cowboys beat a bunch of rookies and practice squad players and the Commanders. And then if that's the case, then you're staying the 5 seed, and I'd rather potentially get an extra week of rest for them. I take you back to what we were saying a couple weeks ago before the downfall happened. Do whatever you can to not play Week 18 for a multitude of reasons. Guys are banged up, and oh, by the way, you don't want to play on that turf. I think I'm in favor of it. I got Mike Vito. You're closing out the show with me.
What's going on, Andrew? How we doing?
I apologize. My nose is running. I'm trying to
It's everybody, man. I had it going on earlier today, and it's just it's keep battling everybody.
I'm talking and wiping at the same time.
I know. I kept feeling I should jump in here and help you out.
Of course, there's no tissues at this place. Now, maybe I should bring my own. So I'm using the basically the cardboard napkin that schools have.
So you're grinding your skin away.
Yeah,
right
yeah.
now.
It feels tremendous. But I'm a football guy, so I'll play through. Where are you when it comes to this resting starters debate?
I kind of have a case both ways.
Okay.
As far as resting them, I don't think it's a bad idea for the guys with as much problem that there has been over the last month and a half now or so. Just for them to kind of take a step back and get away from the game itself. Now, obviously, he's not getting away from the game, but not playing itself. Take that step back a little bit. And I think just to give them a breather would do them, I think, largely going into the playoffs, would do them a benefactor going in. With, I said, obviously, you don't want the rest and everything else, or should they have the rest? But
I don't care about deserve.
Right.
They don't deserve squat. They don't deserve. They deserve to be in the playoffs because they started 10-1, so they deserve to be in the playoffs. There's nothing that they really do deserve right now. But that's not the point of the whole rest conversation. It's not like, hey, good year, guys. You take the last week off.
Right. And sometimes I think when you take that step back away and kind of take a view from a larger scale almost, and a larger viewing point, maybe that's something that would do some good going into the playoffs for these guys. But at the same time, going in, my counter for why they should play, I think you got a game plan for a full game, but take it as it kind of plays itself out. You see how that first half goes, where you're at, where that Dallas game is, because you do got to kind of scoreboard watch. If that first half kind of plays out the way into your favor, then maybe you got to push the envelope a little bit further. But if you kind of see how that first half goes, yank everybody out. Do not take any chance of something stupid happening in the third or fourth quarter. Somebody tears up a knee, Jalen, whatever it might be, who don't put any of them in that position where now you definitely don't have them in the playoffs.
Yeah, then you got absolutely no shot whatsoever. And the MetLife turf is a part of the equation, guys, right? This isn't just, man, I don't want to get hurt going to Week 18. And the MetLife turf is a legit issue, which is why everybody complains about it every single week, whether it's the Giants or the Jets playing at home. And it's just a tragedy that the NFL will do absolutely nothing about it because it should be fixed. But, hey, owners make more money this way. And if the owners make more money, then Roger Goodell's happy and nothing's going to change. But, game planning aside, I don't care about competitive advantage against the New York Giants. If you lose, I don't care if the Giants know your freaking game plan. If you lose to the New York Giants, we got bigger problems. Now, you just lost the Arizona Cardinals, so that alone is a major problem. I think I'm leaning towards this show continues, or as it continued yesterday, as my day continued yesterday, and then the conversation now that the Commanders look like they're going to be resting starters, or not playing people in their final week of the regular season. That no longer matters because they're not in the playoffs. And the Cowboys will be going up against them and probably win with ease. I don't see what the actual point is of playing the starters. The only point of playing some starters would be, all right, what do they have to do in order to, does Hassan Reddick need one more sack to get a bonus? Does a receiver need a couple more yards to get a bonus? Other than that, what's the point?
And Andrew, if you stay in the 5 seed, don't you kind of end up with a more favorable matchup playing the NFC South
and that's
division
what
winner?
People say is cowardice.
Why, though? Because you look at back in the past with the Giants and the Steelers and these teams that got in as a 6 seed, or 6 seed as a wild card and ran the table. Maybe it's something where, hey, you know what? Yeah, they've backdoored their way into the playoffs here at this point, but get through this Giants game, get yourself somewhat right, win that game, feel good about yourself, and maybe somehow, miraculously, it gets them on a run, and they can go to the NFC Championship game at least.
Yeah, come playoff time, because that's the thing. beating the Giants is not going to do that for anybody this week.
No.
Right? So if you go into the playoffs, and I kind of made this point yesterday during the show when this topic started. Again, I was going to save the topic for tomorrow. And then yesterday we had a caller bring it up in the 10 o'clock hour. And I was like, all right, time to pivot. Let's discuss it. And that was what ended up being the rest of the show pretty much. I said, all right, look, come playoff time, atmospheres are different. You win on the road in the playoff game, in the playoffs, it's different than winning on the road in the regular season, right? You go into the playoffs, and if it's the Saints, that's a hostile environment. If it's Tampa, not so much. If it's Atlanta, not so much. But who knows? It's still playoff time. They're still going to sell out their stadiums. And then if you win that, and then it goes back to what we talked about earlier with the path. If there was a Rams upset of the Lions, which is still possible, right? We talked about, I read the Bill Barnwell article, and the biggest issues for all the teams going into the playoffs. One of the biggest issues for the Lions, or the biggest issue for the Lions, is Jared Goff when he's facing pressure. He has top 5 or bottom 5 worst QBR against pressure in the NFL behind guys like Mac Jones and Zach Wilson. That's terrible. Who plays defensive tackle for the LA Rams? What if Aaron Donald has a monster game? And then Matt Stafford, who's resting this weekend. Shocker. Oh, a team that could fall one more spot in the playoffs? No.
Facing his old team.
Yep. Rams are resting Matt Stafford. They're resting Cooper Kupp. They're resting Kyron Williams. You know why? Because the bigger picture is potentially making a run in the playoffs and being healthy for it and being rested for it. They could still move up. They could still move down. So the Rams are resting guys. What if the Rams beat the Lions? Now the Rams are playing the San Francisco 49ers. We expect, now that it's a lock, they don't deserve any lock status, but we expect whoever the Eagles play in the first round as the 5 seed, which would be one of those 3 teams from the NFC South, the Saints, Buccaneers, or Falcons, we expect the Eagles to win. Now there's a lot of what ifs, a lot of things that need to work out, but then the Eagles play the Dallas Cowboys. Look, I remember we had Herm Edwards on before the last Eagles-Cowboys game. He said, it doesn't take much to have to get up for an Eagles-Cowboys game. I know the rivalry isn't the same. It could be renewed in a playoff game. And those guys, plus it's also playoff football. You don't need much to get riled up for a playoff game. I read the Bill Barnwell article. The biggest flaw for the Dallas Cowboys is the rushing defense. What do we know and what have we been asking for all season long?
Run the ball.
Run the ball. And we know this Eagles team can do it. With that offensive line, with DeAndre Swift, and with Jalen Hurts and his ability to run. And I know the guy may be banged up, but come playoffs, that all goes out the window. You play through everything. You could potentially, I know it would be a lot. Again, I'm stretching here. This is what I'm going to have to do come playoff time because you're not going to feel great about any matchup except maybe that first round matchup against one of the NFC South teams. But there is a way to control the clock against the Dallas Cowboys. And if you're clicking on that ground game, you could beat them. You have found ways to beat Micah Parsons before. They have schemed ways to go up against Micah Parsons and allow him to be a non-factor. Oh, by the way, Lane Johnson did a pretty good job against him last time. Parsons just finally beat him one time and got a sack. There is a way to beat the Dallas Cowboys. Now, we all know the Eagles' flaws. Bill Barnwell points out specifically the pass defense. We all know the Eagles' flaws. They've come up small when they needed to score touchdowns, and that's offense. Defensively, passing defense has been an issue, specifically over the middle of the field, specifically against slot corners. They line CeeDee Lamb up in the slot a lot. Safety help hasn't been all that great. And the rushing defense hasn't been good either. And the Dallas Cowboys can exploit all that stuff. But it wouldn't be necessarily crazy. All I know is more Eagles football, the better. And if you get to the NFC Championship game and eventually lose to the San Francisco 49ers, who are clearly the best team in football, or at least in the NFC right now, that sucks. So be it. Gear up for next year. And that's what goes back to this Howie Roseman conversation, which we started the entire show with. I wanted to focus a lot about Howie Roseman today and where people are at with Howie Roseman. We all know that Howie Roseman is going to have to make adjustments during this offseason. And a lot of those adjustments are because of some of the mistakes that he himself made. Now, I don't know how many people were against the moves that he made during the offseason. I do know that everybody was collectively worried about the middle of the field, but everybody was happy that I was not thrilled with Fletcher Cox coming back, but to Fletcher Cox's credit, the guy's actually played pretty well when he's been out there. I was happy with Darius Slay and James Bradbury coming back. I was wrong on that one. Sometimes I'm wrong. It's okay. I did not want Reed Blankenship to be my number one safety, and that hasn't necessarily worked out. So now it's up to Howie Roseman during this offseason to make a couple of adjustments. Another way to really learn about this team and what adjustments you need to make is get into those playoff games one more time, playing the top teams in the NFL. You look at all across the sports. Daryl Morey, I had him on early in the season after the James Harden trade. And I remember asking him, what's next? What's next for the Philadelphia 76ers? What's the next move? And he said, obviously, he has to, get all the research in, take everything into account by this team, and see how they play against the top teams in the NBA. And then he goes, well, all the teams. But he mainly meant the top teams in the NBA. The Boston Celtics, the Milwaukee Bucks. The top teams. He doesn't necessarily care about the San Antonio Spurs and how the Sixers look against them. Same thing with the Eagles. Now, Drew Lock shouldn't be able to go downfield and attack James Bradbury, but if I could see how teams like the 49ers and teams like the Cowboys can exploit weaknesses of the Eagles, that's a good way to learn.
Sure, absolutely. I mean, it'll be interesting to see how they do attack that. And Tyrod Taylor said he had some good throws in a game a couple weeks ago, and said now you have a little bit of tape on, and you're obviously expecting them now. So hopefully they'll have a better game plan for that. But I mean, that Tyrod and those weapons should not be beating Bradbury in that secondary. But we've seen I guess the step backwards a little bit from Bradbury this year, which has been concerning.
Well, it's a major concern, especially because of his age. I don't know if he's all of a sudden going to get fresh legs next year.
Probably not.
Now, look, a big part of it is they are playing after a Super Bowl season last year, a lot of snaps last year, a lot of games last year, and this will be a conversation for another day because I'm not in that mindset. I'm not happy enough and green goggled enough to have this conversation. But we do eventually have to bring back up the conversation of the statistics of the team that loses in the Super Bowl and how they don't really get back, and a lot of times don't even get back to the playoffs the following year. We thought that the Eagles would break that trend this year.
Look good for, 2.5 months?
Yeah, when they're 10-1. And even after the loss to San Francisco, we were down, beat up, they were outclassed, but we still made the potential excuse of Eagles play on a short week, Chiefs into Bills, overtime game against the Bills. 49ers had the luxury of the 10 days rest before that game. Then it's just continued to spiral out of control. But that is a statistic for a reason. And we thought maybe the Eagles could break that trend. Hell, the Eagles could have broke a trend just in the NFC East this year.
Yeah.
18 straight years where there hasn't been back-to-back divisional winners. I thought the Eagles for sure would break that trend this year. And that just unfortunately doesn't seem to be the case unless the Commanders somehow beat the Dallas Cowboys when they rest their top players, and I use top players lightly, and the Eagles still find a way to win against the New York Giants, and then that could all change. But that will be a conversation we're probably going to have again at some point, even though I'm sure not many people want to hear it. Just like how nobody wanted to hear when the Sixers lost in the second round of the playoffs last year. One of the first things I said was, nobody wants to hear this, but they're going to be contenders again next year. There's stuff that we don't want to hear. And one of the things we won't want to hear is how the Eagles still had a successful season considering the history.
They can try to spin that, but for what the expectation was and where it went,
the way they've fallen apart,
not a successful season.
Yeah, the way that they've fallen apart, it's not. Look, they're not even going to they might not even get back to the NFC Championship game. So that's 2 steps back. By the way, I saw Tom Alvord put out a tweet. I guess he maybe listened to the show, or he's just, getting the same tweets that I am. But he started tweeting about why the Eagles need to rest their starters. And he put out a list of 5 different things. And, of course, this comes off of the Commanders players, or the report that the Commanders may not be playing a lot of the vets. So he says Dallas will not be losing to Washington. I agree. The Eagles look exhausted and have played a ton of snaps on defense. I agree. Look, the defense actually wasn't a major issue until after that Bills game.
Agreed. Yeah.
It wasn't. And that's why I still don't blame. I can't believe Sean Desai got fired or, whatever, demoted.
That whole handling was just weird.
Yeah.
Timing of it and all.
His third tweet or his third bullet was bye week in quotes, more important than a win over a bad team. I agree, because you're not going to beat the Giants and all of a sudden find something that works. No interest in playing on MetLife turf. Yep. And Brandon Graham says they need a clean slate and just get into the playoffs. I agree.
Hard to argue with any of that. And in the realm of talking about resting players, can we see Rashad Penny like 20 times this week?
Yeah, just give him some carries. See what he's got.
No DeAndre. I would go Rashad Penny and Boston Scott all day.
I don't care about Gainwell. Use him as much as you want. Doesn't really bother me. All right, so we're closing out the show. The reason why you hear Mike Vito, who's here doing tremendous work as always, Ray Dunn will now be hosting the best show ever. He comes your way next alongside Ricky Patalico and Jen Scordo, so can't wait. Make sure you listen to that. Tomorrow, as I mentioned, we'll be back on a Football Friday. We'll hear from Nick Sirianni tomorrow as they get set to take on the Giants. It'll be the final regular season game. The final regular season game for maybe some of the vets that we know. I mean, that was one of the hardest things about the loss of the Cardinals, which knocked them out of having a home field advantage in the playoffs. That could have been the last game for guys like Jason Kelsey and Fletcher Cox and Brandon Graham in Eagles uniforms as a member of the Philadelphia Eagles. So a lot of storylines. In a game that doesn't have many storylines, there are a lot of storylines going into this one. So we'll talk about them all coming up tomorrow on a Football Friday. The NFL regular season, by the way, is wrapping up, but there's still time to get on all the action with a FanDuel in partnership with Valley Forge, America's #1 sports book. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. The app, super easy to use, and there are so many different ways to bet. There's live same-game parlays or just live bets in general. You can find bets in the new Explore tab. You can try to make parlays in the Parlay Hub, the best way to find popular parlays and so much more. I like when they have the Parlay Hub, and it shows how many people have opted into that parlay, and I think that's cool. You can try to get together with your fellow gamblers and see if you guys all hit on FanDuel, or you can just make your own parlay. And this is what I always suggest to do when it comes to this offer for new users. Bet the $5. Try to get a big payout on a parlay. Try to win a couple $100. Hey, go for $1,000. I don't care. And if it doesn't hit, you're still getting the $150 in bonus bets back guaranteed. Parlays are so much fun because it's something to pay attention to all game long. And if it doesn't hit again, you get $150 to mess around with for the playoffs. And then you could use that $150. Here's a little gambling tip. Use that $150 on like a futures bet with bigger odds because it's free money. And maybe you pick the Super Bowl winner. And if that hits, you get a nice little payout. Little tip from me. Make your first bet a touchdown. FanDuel, the official partner of the NFL.